come on. Set the world on fire tonight. I hear your heartbeat tonight. We can burn brighter, shine bright. Carry me home tonight. Tonight, I'm letting go tonight. Let's make the most of the night, dancing to the beat of the drums and the sky. Carry me home tonight, baby. Just carry me home tonight. My universe, you love into the sun. Someone come and carry me home. And it feels like somebody that I used to.
Like crazy, foolish, stupid, Gangnam Style. Just pumping music. Oh, one choose it, how we do it. I gotta say that with the music.
Let's do this one more
Set the
time.
world on fire.
Tonight, I hear your heartbeat tonight.
We can burn brighter.
Put some people on in the sun. Spend the rest of my days here.
I'll carry you home tonight.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and
Tonight the sky's telling me things. I'm telling you, even my gravity that leads the chance to escape from this insane attraction that I feel for you. Every time I get close to you, you just disappear. No matter where you are, I will search for you for my solitude. 'Cause I know the space between is nothing more than light. And outer space will meet again. We will be like an explosion through the sky. Out of
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or evening, wherever you happen to be tuning in from around the world. Welcome to the second day of the ProGameX tournament, where we are going to conclude and deem our champions. I am Super Tease, and I'm going to be giving a quick ring to my buddy Lore. Here in a moment, we get to all listen to the wonderful noise. Now, don't check your Skype when you hear this. It's probably not yours, but I'm not guaranteeing that it's not. But here we go. We're going to call up Lore. Good morning, Lore. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I am doing pretty tired, like your voice tells to me too. It's pretty early here on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah.
But we are here and we're ready to go. Bring you guys some epic games. We're starting off today with the losers bracket. We already have the team 2.5 men securing their spot in the grand finals. And today we are deciding who is worthy to be their opponent to fight for that first place prize. And we are going to be starting in the losers round 1 with the team Rocket Gaming playing at Mage, Moonkin Paladin, a Skitch, Jimmy Powder, and Fake You, going up against One Win Is Enough, playing RMP, Vest Cake, Best Mage, and I think we decided to call him Sook for better or worse, but that's what we're going with. So just going to ask the teams if they're ready. And we should be able to start right away if they are.
Sweet. I should probably launch World of Warcraft.
That's a good start to the day, man. You can wake up and just start WoW.
Best part of waking up is World of Warcraft in your cup.
What would World of Warcraft look like in a cup?
Well,
Is that too
if
awkward?
it's if it's Warlords, it would probably be brown, and there'd be like spikes sticking out of it.
Brown with spikes sticking out. So
It looked like
coffee
hot
with-
chocolate. It looked like hot chocolate with marshmallows, but the marshmallows would be spikes.
Oh my god, you just made Warlords of Draenor coffee. You have to sell that. Warlords of Draenor hot chocolate developed by Lore. Spiky marshmallows confirmed.
Yes. I think it's a good idea. I'd buy it.
I would buy that. Sounds good. Alright, so one of the teams needs 2 minutes here quickly. What's the other team? Awesome. Again over here, make sure. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Are you ready to rumble? Apparently that fight last night was a little bit lackluster from what I heard. I didn't get to watch it. But today hopefully won't be.
It sounded like one of the, I didn't see it either, but from what it sounded like, one of the fighters was just like playing super defensive and staying back and not actually doing much until the other guy tired
like my
himself
play
out.
style, and wow.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, basically, he was playing Turbo Cleave.
Yeah. He played for dampening. What can you blame him for that? He wants to win. It's strategy. Might be boring, but it's strategy. Alright. Alright guys, we're waiting for the first series of the day, which is going to be in the losers bracket. Team Rocket Gaming going up against One Win Is Enough. Unfortunately, as a quick update, the team Better Think Twice is going to be disqualified from the entire tournament. They're not able to show up today as well. So the winner of this series gets a bye in the next series. So you get to go all the way to losers round 3 if you win this. It's a pretty nice bonus.
Yeah, and it actually works out pretty well in the overall brackets because there were 9 teams, and this is basically just put it to where it's a normal 8-team tournament. Everybody has the same chance. Everybody plays the same number of games.
Yeah, I think
it makes sense.
Does it end up turning into... Yeah, it does end up turning like that. So that's good. And one of the teams is ready. One of the other teams is not giving me the go-ahead. Just yet. Nope, not yet. Not ready yet. Skitch needs a second. He's got to put his Moonkin costume on.
Oh. Like IRL?
Yeah, you know. Oh my god. Oh, please make a Moonkin Snuggie. Please. Somebody make a Moonkin Snuggie.
That'd be amazing.
That just came into my head. I was just like, please, I want that. I would
Every
buy
time
that.
you were streaming, you would be wearing a Moonkin Snuggie.
Yeah, that's what I would do. A Moonkin Snuggie. You could make a cat form Snuggie, a bear form Snuggie just for Pink Rangers.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll have to tell Q, who is the lady that actually designs all of our plushies. I'll have to tell her about it. See if she can make something happen.
Alright guys, they're letting me know they're ready, so we can queue these guys up. 1 win is enough. Going up against Rocket Gaming in a best of 3 starting on the Grand Arena. If the button lets me go, war game request has failed. That's bad. Let's try it again. And again, and again, and again. Okay, let me make sure that they're all the correct leader.
Yeah, if the wargame request fails, usually it's because somebody does not have leader and shit.
Oh, wait, maybe he answered my question saying let me know when you're ready instead of, and then I read okay as this misplaced hype. The anxiety.
Yeah.
And what's the next series after this? It should be D's Nets, the Ret Hunter Shaman against Putin Somewhere Around. And actually yesterday, Putin Somewhere Around seemed to be the one team that gave 2.5 men a run for their money. It was a 2-0, but there were a lot of close moments for them.
Yeah, I don't remember what comp they were playing.
Turbo with a Paladin.
Oh, was it Turbo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their pressure seemed better than Toxic Use, but the games obviously lasted much shorter.
Oh, that's right, because Botar switched to Paladin when they played 2.5 men. Or excuse me, switched to Druid from Paladin when they played 2.5 men. So Putin Somewhere Around would have been the only Paladin Turbo that they went up against.
Yeah. So it looked... It was strange because last week Botar did try Paladin and it didn't look that amazing, but then when this team Putin Somewhere Around tried with Paladin, it looked pretty good. I mean, there were a couple scary calls for 2.5 men. I would say that's the one series where they felt maybe that somebody could die at least. Other than that, they've been kind of stomping the whole tournament, not dropping a game yet, and they are in the finals. So I would put some money on Putin Somewhere Around making it back to them. I feel like that's...
Yeah, quite possibly. They will go up against the Ret Hunter Shaman that D's Nuts was playing. And they also seem to do fairly well against the God comp that they went up against. So I think I think that'll be a good match. I think you're right that Putin Somewhere Around is probably going to be the favorite in that match, but it should be a good one to watch.
I think usually in that matchup, Turbo, especially with the Holy Paladin, kind of comes out ahead. You can just counteract the Hunter cooldowns with Hand of Protection, play really offensive. You can coordinate your stuns at the same time, so double stunning the healer and 1 DPS, locking them down, and they just fall more and more behind. You survive, and the Turbo... It's funny that it's named Turbo when you don't really kick into Turbo gear. It's like... It's not. It needs to be renamed, I think. I don't think Turbo is appropriate anymore.
Yeah, I guess it was like supposed to be like named after like the actual turbo part of a car, which is like a turbine sort of thing, because there was like Blade Storm and Wind Fury. But they don't like. To me, turbo means like really fast.
Yeah.
Because that's what you use a turbo for, is to go really fast. And turbo in Warlords is the opposite of going really fast.
It has its moments. Every once in a while, you'll be like, whoa! And then 6 minutes later,
Yeah.
it'll have like one peak moment where one Mortal Strike crits, or you get a double Storm Strike or something, both crit, like, and you can do some big damage. But yeah, it is much slower, so I'm trying to think of what I would want to call Turbo.
Someone in chat said brake pedal cleave.
Brake pedal cleave. TSG gets renamed gas pedal. We
Yeah.
have brake pedal versus gas pedal.
It's a good idea.
Okay. One of the players on the team of Rocket Gaming just needs a minute. I'm asking him how long exactly. And we did see actually yesterday that the Mage Moon Paladin team took the GCD TV tournament.
Oh wow, nice.
So, and they actually were fighting RMP. So Disc Priest made it all the way to the finals. And then it was kind of funny to me because I was pointing out like typically in WoW tournament history, you're playing on the tournament realm and you can make any race that you want. And typically speaking, when you're playing on live, you go with whatever's generally the best. So usually that ends up being human or night elf, just standard. But sometimes going gnome is actually better. Like if the priest on RMP could have been gnome, he could have gotten out of every solar beam that was thrown on him that he had to sit because he was playing night elf instead. So like using that kind of racial advantage can pay off, but unfortunately not prepared with a second priest that was gnome specifically for fighting against moonkins.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to see like that play out with him being able to be gnome and see how much better it would have been for them, because I think it would have been much closer. But in this tournament, not going to be fight. It is actually the same matchup. It's RMP and Mage Moon Paladin. So if this RMP, like I'm pretty sure the priest is probably playing human or night elf, so you can have an avoidance for a CC or just more healing output. If they can play gnome as a priest, it's, I would say, vastly superior when you're fighting against a moonkin to have that escape artist, so you can remove the entangling root and then move out of the silence.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because escape artist has only like a minute and a half cooldown now, isn't it?
I think it's a minute. I think it's exactly the same cooldown now.
Oh.
So it's the perfect ability to be like, yep, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, 1 minute cooldown. Totally.
Best choice. I'm telling people how to beat my class. This isn't a good idea, is it, Lil? Stop. Don't go gnome. I don't want to see a ton of gnomes. Dwarf is pretty good for that too, but it's 2 minutes as opposed to 1 minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the next series if they're ready at all. Just to see if we can queue. Just ask the next teams up if they're ready to play, to see if they're willing to fill in here while we're waiting for Jimmy Powder to powder his nose.
I think we figured out why he's called that.
I don't know if that's the case. Jimmy Powder. Maybe he sells baby powder.
Oh, maybe.
Could be a lot of things. Oh, my
Sells
nuts.
flour.
He works at a bakery.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the teams in the next series obviously not completely ready either. They're expecting a series to be played. I'm just letting them know that the other team was DQ'd, so that they really don't have an incredible amount of time in between to try and warm up. They want to play some games to warm up, so I can respect that. Skitch is letting me know that the Paladin is letting him know that he's there, but not ready. So we're going to wait a little bit longer. Hopefully he can get in here. Always a little bit annoying when you have to start right away and you can't just jump into it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I want to see what happens. This is the exact same matchup as last night's grand finals. So RMP versus Mage Moon Paladin, and I don't know if we can say this RMP is as strong as the RMP we saw on US. I know that they're playing alts because one of their players couldn't make it, so when you're always playing the class that you're a little bit less familiar with, there's a couple like just minor things that you might overlook, like, oh, I should have spell stolen more here, or I should have positioned defensively at this point, and things that you're not 100% with. Whereas playing your main class with thousands of games on it, you kind of like, okay, I need to run now or I'm going to die. And you know when you're in trouble, you know when you're not. And that's, I think, one of the biggest challenges when you're re-rolling or trying a new class is knowing when you're safe and when you're not. So unfortunately, this RMP going to be a little bit less experienced, I would say. Doesn't mean that they don't stand a chance, but I would give the advantage to the Mage Minkin team. Not only that, just seeing how it worked for the Mage Minkin on US. Unless the Priest is Gnome. I mean, by some... Oh, he's ready. We can stop talking about gnomes. Yeah, I'm going to cue them. Let's see if they take... Let's see if they take the bait. Hook, line, and sinker?
It started to go, but then it didn't.
Huh? We're there.
Oh, yeah.
We're there. We're there. We're there. We're there. Game time. And just as a reminder, we have Fake You on the Frost Mage here, a Sketch on the Balanced Druid in the Mighty Chicken form, Jimmy Powder playing Holy Paladin on the side of Rocket Gaming. On Team Green, we have got One Win Is Enough, Lance-Cake on the Frost Mage, Saxarina on the Disciplined Priest, and Ryu Sakurais on the Combat Rogue.
Yeah.
And he is, in fact, playing human. There is not a gnome priest, so I think he's going to be having a hard time. He's going to be getting a suntan this game in the solar beams. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the utility on his team. Rogue and Mage don't provide any sort of root break for a partner, so they can't get them out of that silence, and it's just an 8-second silence that you're going to get put in, and you're going to have to find a way to deal with. There are some clutch things you can do. You can pre-dispel the root before the beam actually triggers on you, but a Hurricane coming out and pulling the RMP out of stealth, they're not going to be able to get a sap. Fairy Swarm Cyclone onto Ryu Sacrifice. Skitch's team has already diffused the opener by pulling them out, now getting full dots rolling onto Lance-Cake and just rooting Ryu Sacrifice, not letting him build that red buff and kiting him out here. The Mage Fake You already has full Icicles, popping the Icy Veins, probably going to be making a play, but Lance-Cake trying to make a play here with the Deep Freeze, not able to get the Polymorph. Now Saxarina into a poly, but they do stop that poly as well, instead using the Root Solar Beam, bringing the pressure onto Lance-Cake. Is dipping fairly low here. Polymorph now out of the Solar Beam. Unfortunately, the Trent broke the Polymorph now into another Polymorph. They're going to have to use the Cyclone instead. Ryu Sakurai caught into a Hodge, fully dotted, and Sketch and Fake You are spreading their damage onto both targets.
Yeah, Rocket Gaming so far is doing a great job of just making sure that they're just locking down One Win Is Enough as much as possible. When they are stuck in situations where Fake You was actually taking a bunch of damage there a second ago, they were able to quickly get out some CC onto Ryu Sacrifice, which limited that a ton. Skitch taking a little bit of damage. He is going to pop the Bark Skin and get the Blessing of Protection as well. So that's a little bit of an overlap there, but it's fine because Jimmy Powder is stuck into that full Polymorph. He's not actually able to get any healing out right now. Into the Deep Freeze as well. A Skitch could be in some trouble here. We may get a Trinket or something out of this. The Saved by the Light procs. Landscape dipping super low is going to have to use the Ice Block there, and a Skitch is going to be fine as a result of that, with no major cooldowns actually coming out from Jimmy Powder other than that first Blessing of Protection.
Nice Wild Charge Bear Root into the Solar Beam, now into a half clone. The RMP on the defense back here behind the pillar. Fake You going in hot though. Deep Freeze onto Saxarina. Lance-Cake getting locked on Poly, dipping low HP here. Saxarina is leaving CC, gets the Saving Grace off, fortunately before that full Polymorph land. At the same time, a full Poly onto Jimmy Powder, but they can't go on the offense. Ryu's just getting rooted and bashed. He's not able to move, and Lance-Cake getting Star Surged and Starfired there to 2% HP, barely getting this Ice Block off in time to survive. The CC chain onto Saxarina is not ending. He's now into the full clone. Solar Beam coming up in 22 seconds. They're going to be looking to make that play when it does. They are just pulling back on the defense right now. Ryu trying to push in and get something done. Unfortunately, he's going to get hodged up. He's getting Starfired behind the pillar here. Sakurai is realizing realizing this, trying to come in line of sight, throws a fear out there. I'm not sure, I believe onto the mage Fake it was dispelled, a blind onto Jimmy Powder. He's able to sit through it, full polymorph out. They're going to bubble that as the full kidney shot lands onto his sketch, taking a bit of damage here, but Jimmy Powder's bubble is going to be able to allow him to heal him to full through all of these big cooldowns from the RMP. And now Ryu Cycrass on the back foot at 30%. The defensive smoke bomb just to reduce the damage and provide line of sight, keeping him alive.
Yeah, that was an absolutely necessary smoke bomb there. Ryu Sakurai is actually in a lot of trouble right now. He doesn't have Cloak for a little while yet, I don't think, and he was just taking tons of damage there. Lancecake now taking a bit of damage and having to use the pain suppression to lower that damage. He's actually still in quite a bit of trouble here, and Saxarina stuck in the root beam. Lancecake could be in a lot of trouble. The bubble comes out there for just a second, but is it going to be enough? He does not have an ice block available. He's desperately trying to get out of line of sight, but no. Not enough health remaining, not enough time to get out of line of sight, and Lancecake is going to go down.
Rest in peace, Lancecake.
Rest in cake.
Decently well played. They got a sketch fairly low there. It seemed like they were making a bit of a progression throughout the game, getting through Hand of Protection, getting through Barskin, trying to push him down. Unfortunately, they were just on the defense so much, and when you're playing RMP, it's an offense comp. If you're playing defense, you are losing. You need to be having momentum, constantly swinging your way, have the other team running away from you. If the other team's just running on top of you, you're in a really horrifying situation, and you can see as it just falls behind, Ryu as well as Lancecake can just both be swapped to fully dotted, and they can really burst either or, depending on positioning, and they took advantage of it.
Yeah, and that root beam that you were talking about, I think a lot of people are just going to understand that that's a terrifying maneuver, but we saw it used incredibly well there. Saxarina was caught in that root beam for so long where he can't cast spells, he can't get out of it, he's just stuck there, just watching his teammates die, basically. And that's what happened, and it worked out super well for Rocket Gaming, I should say.
Yeah, it's
not so well for one win, is enough.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, Disciplined Priest actually has a lot of burst healing, but if you just crowd control them and don't let them use it, basically, then they can't take advantage of it. And as long as you chain the CC, don't let the Saving Grace off. There were a few times where Saxarina's CC wasn't chained perfectly, and he did get Saving Grace off, and it kept his team healthy. So if Ryu and Lancecake can focus a little bit more on shutting CC down, it seemed like they were focusing on a Skitch, but he was still able to get Cyclones off on Saxarina fairly frequently, so I feel like they need to decide one or the other. Are they going to be stopping Polymorphs, or are they going to be stopping Cyclones, and kind of dedicate all their interrupts, all their stuns to either or, and not try and split it up too much, because eventually, if the Mage and the Moonkin are standing on top of you, what one do you kick? You're going to have to pick, and if you decide to both interrupt at the same time, you can't stop the chain later on.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to be a little bit more patient with their interrupts. Let's hope that they don't get pulled out of stealth this time around. Hurricane coming out. They're going to go on the bottom here and avoid all of this AoE so far, but Fake is right on top of them. Icona holds them all out of stealth into a Pet Nova. The opener is just going to be diffused completely. Ryu does get dispelled out of that polymorph. Saxo loading up the powered shields. Ryu's going to get cloned up. They're starting onto Lancecake with a deep freeze onto Saxarina, looking for a polymorph out of this. They land the full polymorph onto him. Lancecake could be in trouble. At the same time, a blind onto Jimmy Powder. They're trying to put pressure up, but Lance got to be careful, and down goes Lance. The root solar beam and getting caught off guard. He was going offensive, actually used 2 Ice Novas, and his HP just evaporated.
Yeah, I just did not expect, I don't think he expected that amount of damage to come out, and he died before using Ice Block. Not a single defensive cooldown actually went out in that. It was just a whole lot of damage in a hurry, and he was not ready for it.
And that does mean that Rocket Gaming are progressing through the tournament, and unfortunately for 1 win is enough. I don't believe they got 1 win.
They did not, unfortunately.
That's
a little bit sad. Like,
you name yourself 1 win is enough, and then alright, so let's get these next teams ready. For reference, Better Think Twice is disqualified, so they're not going to be playing, which means that Rocket Gaming progresses to Losers Round 3 to fight against Duelist Clan. The next series we're going to be looking to set up is going to be D's Nuts, the Ret Hunter Resto Shaman. We saw them play yesterday. They weren't successful. They brought some interesting strategy on Blade's Edge by bringing the fight down below the bridge to try and kite against the Wizard threat line of sight.
That was a super close match, too, that one on Blade's Edge.
They are going up against a much different composition this time around. Not going to be fighting wizards. You are going to be fighting lumberjacks with axes, and they're not afraid to get in your face. And
Very
smack
small
you.
axes, so eventually the tree falls over.
We can chop you up with toothpicks.
Yes. Yeah, they will be going up against Putin somewhere around, playing the Turbo Cleave. So that's... I'm kind of excited for this match, because I feel like if they're... Like, Red Hunter has such an incredible amount of burst potential, maybe they can actually get through the defensive, like, disengagement capability that Turbo has right now. Maybe they'll actually be able to push through that and actually score a kill.
I know Turbo Cleave with the Resto Druid from experience that Red Hunter typically goes after you, and I actually remember Mystic's Red Hunter Shaman fighting, it might have been Botar's team, and they went after Botar and Holy Paladin, which was unexpected. I was like, okay, they're actually going for it, and it was kind of scary for them to deal with. It's one of those situations where it might be easier to just CC the Enhancement Shaman with Trap and stun the healer and go on the healer. It might be a little bit more reliable. You don't have to deal with Mass Reflect to stop your healer from getting trapped. You don't have to deal with Grounding Totem because you're CCing that target. You don't have to deal with the Enhancement Shaman off healing because he's CC'd. Red Hunter doesn't have like a Silence or a Horrify. They only have a 5-second stun, and if they don't kill in that window, they can't lock a kill target down. So they could go after the Holy Paladin in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would actually make a lot of sense. The other thing about this matchup is since Turbo wants those super long games and Red Hunter Shaman wants to kill you on a 2-minute cooldown, basically, with Avenging Wrath, and obviously the Hunter cooldowns as well, which are 1 minute, but you want to be able to line them up with the Ret Paladin's cooldowns as much as possible. A long game is actually kind of good for a comp like that, just because it gives more opportunities to use those. It gives you more chances to actually score that kill when you pop all those cooldowns at once, because you'll just be able to use them more often, or you'll be able to use them more, I should say. So yeah, I'm actually really interested to see how this match turns out.
And the team Putin somewhere around did have a lot of damage for a Turbo early on in the stages. They weren't afraid to play aggressive. They popped the Ascendants. Usually, a strategy for Enhancement Shamans is they have an ability called Ancestral Guidance, which causes all of their damage to do some percentage of healing. I'm not sure exactly, but they will time it with their Ascendants. And usually everybody's like, oh, Ascendants, they're going to kill somebody, but Enhancement Shamans will specifically save Ascendants defensively. So if their healer is in a full trap, they're alone, they need to get some extra healing, that's when they pop Ascendants with the Ancestral Guidance tied with it. So they're doing maximum damage. Ascendants lets them attack from ranged. They're always doing damage, and it causes extra healing. It gives them something called Maelstrom procs, so that they can get an instant cast Healing Surge, which is going to heal you for a lot. And that's how they temporarily fill the role as a healer, and that's why they're able to extend games for so long, is those coordinated abilities defensively. But Dead Wolf's team specifically were using those cooldowns offensively, which leaves an opening for the other team, but at the same time, if they get a kill, there's no opening. They're dead. They can't take advantage of anything, so... it's up to the Enhancement Shaman to decide whether they're going to be offensive or defensive, and that's where they can make the decision with their Ascendants, their big cooldown when they turn into the Thunderlord. Alakir, I think is what his name is supposed to... I don't know if that's what they're actually turning into, but any Hearthstone players would know Alakir, I think. Let's see. Alright. One of the teams is ready. We're waiting for the other team to determine if they're ready. And then, of course, we're going to be just seeing the warrior. I believe his name is Infinity. I believe it's Infinity, if I'm not pronouncing it wrong. Is going to be just bouncing around and hitting whatever he can, just being a warrior, recklessly swinging his axe everywhere. It's up to him to really get all of the pressure. So we're going to see probably him playing very recklessly, even probably going after the rest of Shaman a bit, just bouncing onto whoever he can, doing as much damage as possible.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Turbo wants to be able to do, is have their warrior just sort of hanging out. In the games that Toxic Youth has been playing, Joe Fernandez has just kind of been playing his own game the entire time, just kind of PvEing in the corner against whoever he happens to find that he can actually hit. So if Infinity or he signed up as Unity, I think.
Oh, Unity.
Um,
All right.
yeah, but that may not be his actual in-game character name. But if he's able to do that, it's super helpful for the play style that Turbo really wants, which is that just sort of constant rot damage. Having that warrior with all that uptime, being able to just constantly keep their damage going, and getting those executes out as well, the execute procs and all of that is going to be super helpful.
Yeah, it definitely is. And they are going to be playing arms. They're not going to be going for Fury. They're not going to be going for the Siege Breaker plays where you try and just 100-0 somebody very quickly. My invite's actually being declined. Okay, let's try this again. Should be able to get into the series shortly here. It's going to be the team D's Nuts going against Putin somewhere around the best of 3, starting on the Grand Arena. Whatever team loses this series is knocked out of the entire tournament, so a lot on the line. And it's going to be Turbo Cleave with a Holy Paladin going up against a Ret Hunter Resto Shaman. Pretty standard comps from the popularity, at least, of them. Each with their own play style. The Turbo Cleave looking to extend the game, just do damage, and survive.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas the Ret Hunter Shaman looking to land crowd control. Really, it's up to the Ret Hunter to end the game. When you're fighting a team like Turbo, it's not the Turbo isn't usually the one that's rushed. They're the ones that are like, "Oh, you want to play it slow? I'm gonna play it slow," and they're not afraid to just let them do that. So, we're just waiting for one of the teams to be ready. Putin somewhere around, not taking the cue yet. I'm only sending one request now. I'm gonna relog quickly.
Okay.
Let's see if maybe it's on my end. Then we can do it quick and quick. Wanna go zip. Get the games out.
Yeah, sorry about these delays getting these first couple of matches rolling. We're having actually some technical issues at the moment, so hopefully we can get those sorted through and we can get these games going.
I am sending the queues out. I think that the team of Putin somewhere around is not accepting. Maybe they're not ready yet, but they're not responding to me either.
Mm.
Okay, there we go.
Hooray!
Hooray, huzzah!
Huzzah!
Games. And this time around on the gold side, we have D's Nuts playing the Ret Hunter Shaman, Blitz MVP on Ret Paladin, Nyx on the Beast Mastery Hunter, and Obliv playing the Restoration Shaman. On the green team, the side of Putin somewhere around, we have Unity playing the Arms Warrior with that amazing Tier 2 transmog that moves like Transformer robots. And Dead Wolf on the Enhancement Shaman, boasting the challenge mode gear from last expansion, looking very furious. Ryan Held playing the Holy Paladin in the backline, keeping his team aggressive and keeping them alive.
Yeah, so we've kind of talked this match to death already at this point, waiting for the gates to just go ahead and open here so we can get into it. I'm going to be curious to see if Unity actually goes immediately straight in or if they're going to play a little bit more defensively. And it looks like it is going to be a little bit more defensively. They're going to hide behind the pillar here and make the Red Hunter Shaman come over to them. We do get a Fist of Justice out right away onto Reinhild. They're going on to Deadwolf, which is a pretty predictable target. Deadwolf immediately is going to get over here out of line of sight using the Shamanistic Rage as well to help himself survive a little bit longer. And they're trying to actually turn this around onto Blitz. He does have his Avenging Wrath active, and he's trying to get out some damage here. And they've actually swapped over off of Blitz onto Nyx, who's going to have to try to get out of here. But no major defensive cooldowns have been blown yet on D's-Nut's side.
Yeah, it's really important to know that Unity is actually playing Vigilance, which is like a 2-minute cooldown that reduces damage by 30%, and he used that onto Deadwolf to answer the Avenging Wrath at the beginning, which is why he didn't take that much damage when you pair that up. But the Murder of Crows coming out here does get sacrificed by Reinhild. He's healing through it very well with the remaining seconds of his Avenging Wrath, able to top off Deadwolf at this point, using his Stone Form even to reduce further damage, trying to get onto Obliv, and the Turbo Cleave is actually the one on the offense, chasing down Obliv over here, forcing to try and spam that Earth Shield as it is getting purged off constantly by Deadwolf, and they're doing an immense amount of damage to him. Deadwolf overextending slightly here. He's going to have to Shamanistic Rage as a result. The sacrifice is up on the Hodge. They do manage to purge it off, well purged by Obliv, even under pressure. Removing that ability is very important. He has position defensively now, healing, surging his partners from the back line. He does get put into a full Hodge by Reinhild, but it's going to be sacrificed by Blitz and removed. Now Unity charging back onto Obliv, and the Turbo is basically everywhere, spreading their pressure to all three players.
Yeah, there is a full trap on a Reinhild right now. Deadwolf does not have Shamanistic Rage available, so if they could follow that up on him, that could be trouble. And wow, he actually dipped super low there for just a second. He gets the bop off, but that gets purged right away as well. Deadwolf actually under a lot of pressure right now from this Red Hunter Shaman. They're really not able to turn the pressure around at the moment either. Reinhild gets stunned. He's going to have to trinket that and immediately pop Avenging Wrath, trying to keep Deadwolf alive, who is taking a ton of damage right now. But it looks like they have managed to survive through the Red Hunter burst, and they will be able to try to turn this back around momentarily, possibly onto Blitz, who's actually taking quite a bit of damage at the moment. But no, it actually looks like they're just going to go ahead and pull back, get behind the pillar, and try to recover a little bit.
Yeah, they're chasing after Obliv. A double shockwave lands here, a triple onto the pet, so it's going to reduce the cooldown significantly of Unity's stun. Reinhild caught into a Hodge here, but Nyx got feared. He's not able to land the trap. He's trying to go for it. He snags the trap, but the Vigilance Shamanistic Rage combo here is going to be reducing the damage significantly onto Deadwolf. He's able to just tank it all out and stick onto Obliv, who's running low on mana, already at 18%, only about 3 minutes into the game, and it's looking dire for the side of D's-Nuts. Fortunately, they're getting some pressure onto Deadwolf, but they need to wait for some CC onto Reinhild to finish him off. If they land the next trap, it could be the end of Deadwolf, but at the same time, Unity popping that Recklessness, doing a ton of damage onto Blitz MVP at 30% HP, but the Murder of Crows comes out. The sacrifice on the Hodge, they need to make sure they purge it off, but he doesn't have mana to purge it. They're not able to land the trap. Now Nyx in a hard position has to land a trap without a stun, and with all players stacking up, it's becoming even harder. The Blessing of Protection onto Deadwolf does get purged. He snags the trap with no stun onto Deadwolf. Shamanistic Rage not available for 5 seconds. Instead, Deadwolf going to line of sight, using his Ascendance once again defensively with these Healing Surge proxies, able to sustain himself while Reinhild sat through that full trap, now popping the Avenging Wrath, and D's-Nuts is on the back foot.
Yeah, Blitz MVP taking a lot of damage. Obliv just constantly under fire this entire match also. He's totally out of mana. He's got 5%. He does get a Blessing of Protection on himself to limit that a little bit, but it's immediately purged, and he's going to be under a lot of trouble right now. Unity and Deadwolf are both doing their best to stick on him. Unity actually getting stunned there for just a second, which is going to give Obliv just a little bit of a breathing room here, but now the Shockwave comes out onto Obliv. He's got no mana. Followed up with the Fist of Justice. He's in a lot of trouble right now. He's going to have to drop that Spirit Link, and that's actually only his first Spirit Link, so that's actually good news for him in that regard. But he is still under a lot of trouble. But Deadwolf, super low, 10% health. Deadwolf goes down.
Yeah, that Murder of Crows coming out. Shamanistic Rage, his major defensive cooldown not available for 10 more seconds. Just getting caught off guard. And really, I feel Putin somewhere is just playing really aggressive, and it's somewhat backfiring. They did have Obliv out of mana, and they did have them in desperation mode. They forced a Spirit Link, a bubble, but going that offensive, that's the cost. You get caught in a position where you don't have a defensive cooldown. You're very far forward. Your Holy Paladin is forced to chase you, which means that he gets crowd controlled much easier. I'm being told that Deadwolf might have disconnected, so that's why he ended up going down. It's It's unfortunately not a replay. If they did, they're telling me that 2 players disconnected, but it's not a replay unless you DC 45 seconds prior to the game start, like within the first 45 seconds of the game. It's not a replay, so we have to go to the second game. So, unfortunately, if they did disconnect, sucks to lose because of that, but within the rules, we can't replay the game as they did disconnect and die after the 45-second mark of the game starting. So the first game is going to go to the Ret Hunter Shaman D's Nuts, awaiting a map choice from the side of Putin somewhere around. And they were playing very aggressive, as I was trying to point out in the last game. It was the Turbo Cleave bringing the fight to the Red Hunter Shaman. Typically, you see it the other way around, and I feel it's more their play style, at least from watching them. So maybe they just like playing this way, and they're more comfortable going like, let's go, damage, let's go now, and they don't want to be patient, they don't want to wait. So sometimes, like, you might be playing a composition that is meant to play slow, but you like to play it fast. You can make it work. It just means you need to be even more careful. And in that situation, he was caught with no defensives, unfortunately being told that he did disconnect, but we are jumping into the second game on Runes of Lordaeron.
Yeah, hopefully no more, like, disconnects, because even if it is a legit disconnect, everybody's always going to wonder, like, oh yeah, did he really disconnect, or did he feel like he was losing any Alt F forward or something like that, and tried to say it's a disconnect. It's always going to be something that people ask even in those situations, and it just sucks to have that happen where it's like, no, seriously, I actually disconnected. Why does everyone say that I was trying to cheat or something? So that's I hate when disconnects happen, basically. But hopefully no more of that. We can move on to a good match here on Runes of Lordaeron.
Yeah, and I would imagine because they picked Runes of Lordaeron, they're going to be going after Bliv once again, trying to bring the fight to D's Nuts and end the game faster. I would say maybe because Unity is running Vigilance, I believe he loses Master Reflect, so he can't prevent those traps incoming. Yeah. Dead Wolf can grounding totem the trap, but it takes a lot of... you need to time it almost perfectly as the trap lands onto the floor. And a Hodge already on a Reinheld, and Shamanistic Rage is going to have to be forced. He's line of sighting with the Vigilance, but he's still down at half HP. He has to use the Stone Form, now popping the Ancestral Guidance and the Ascendance just to gain some extra healing here. And he should be able to survive this burst opener, but that wasn't the Murder of Crows, and he's not going to have any damage reduction for that.
Yeah, no Murder of Crows, no Bestial Wrath now coming out. Excuse me, no, that's the wrong icon. No Murder of Crows or Bestial Wrath used from Nyx. So there is still a potential for some follow-up burst there. Now comes the Bestial Wrath and the Murder of Crows. It's going out onto Deadwolf. He's going to take a lot of damage right here. Reinhild having to pop the Avenging Wrath, trying to do his best to keep him alive. There isn't a ton of CC left for Reinhild at this point, but if they can get an interrupt on him at a key moment, there's actually a trap coming out. 8 seconds in that trap. He's going to go ahead and trinket that and keep healing with that Avenging Wrath still active, now falling off. But it looks like they were actually able to survive through that damage, and now they're going to try to turn this around onto Obliv, chasing him around over here across the tomb in the center, just trying to keep up damage on him as much as possible, down to about 40% health there for just a second, but with the stuns coming out, trying to do their best just to diffuse this situation and make sure that they can survive through it. But yeah. Deadwolf, super low.
Saved by the Light's going to proc there, a big absorb. They're pressuring Obliv, though. He has to drop the Spirit Link. It's only going to be his first. Now a full trap landed onto Reinhild. Dead Wolf is alone here. He's going to have to off-heal himself significantly. He's going to drop the Healing Stream Totem to give himself some more heals. Go for some casted healing surges. Now Reinhild leaving the trap is going to be able to top him off. Unfortunately, now into a full Hodge. At the same time, Blitz getting pressured at 50% HP. Obliv's mana is getting tapped much like before. The Murder of Crows is going to get Hand of Protection, and it removes it. And now Nyx caught in a shockwave with no trinket at 20%. He's going to get bopped. Unfortunately, overlapped with the deterrence a little bit there. They are going to purge the Blessing and Protection off and swap over to Blitz MVP here. Unity trying to do damage to whatever he can. Now Heroic leaping back in onto Obliv, trying to force that last Spirit Link.
Yeah, and they need to get that Spirit Link out if they want to get a kill on him because it's just such a strong defensive cooldown. But Deadwolf now taking damage, he does have to use the Shamanistic Rage again. Obviously, it's only a 1 minute cooldown, so he's going to be able to use that on a regular basis. But it is still good that they are able to pull it out without major cooldowns coming out, as Nick still has 10 seconds left on his Crows and his Bestial Wrath. Might be able to make something happen when that comes up. Blitz a little bit low at the moment, but he seems to be actually kind of comfortable sitting around at about 50% health. Not really too worried about his own safety, as he does drop the execution sentence down offensively in that. I believe that was an offensive one. It may have been from Reinhild. It may have been from Reinhild. He did get stuck in a trap there for just a second, and the rallying cry does have to come out to help keep Deadwolf alive. I don't know that it was actually really necessary there. Maybe a little bit of a panic maneuver, as Deadwolf's health didn't really dip super low during that, but it has now fallen off, and Blitz once again taking some damage.
Yeah, Reinhardt has his trinket and his bubble available for incoming CC. Shamanistic Rage going to be used here to answer the crowd control being used. Deadwolf trinketing now to finish the game, popping the Ascendants offensively onto Obliv. He's going to be able to attack him from range, as well as swapping over to Nixik if he needs to. The full trap's going to land, unfortunately. He tried to eat it and attack at the same time. Wasn't able to eat the trap, but they're going to force the second Spirit Link. Deadwolf's getting low, though, into kill shot range. Going to go double kill shot. Double dead. Reinheld, unfortunately, not able to bop him. He had a lot of cooldowns there. One more Blessing and Protection. His bubble, his trinket, a lot left in the tank. If he was able to get that off, I feel they could have extended that game a little bit further and taken it.
Yeah, I feel like they were just they felt like the kill was about to happen on Obliv, and realistically it was. Obliv was in major trouble at that point in time. He had no mana, he had no defensive cooldowns. He was going to die if someone on the Turbocleave side hadn't. So maybe they just lost track a little bit of what was going on, and unfortunately, as a result, lost the game.
It's going to be a 2-0 for D's Nuts. Ret Hunter Shaman moving forward to face off against Zonika's team. And I'm just going to be updating the teams here for the next series, which is going to be Rocket Gaming going against Duelist Clan.
Yeah, Duelist Clan was playing a God Comp yesterday, or a Shatter Comp, whatever you want to call it, Shatter Play. And that's they actually played fairly well. That's Smiley, Babomage, and Valet, who we've seen play quite a bit in some of these tournaments, and they do pretty well, generally speaking. So I'm excited for this match. I'm excited to see Duelist Clan play again. I'm also excited to see some more out of Rocket Gaming, as Skitch, Fake You, and Jimmy Powder. They actually, like a Skitch is someone that we've seen play a lot. He's played with Looney a lot in the past as well. He went to regionals, and like you were saying yesterday, their team actually made it to BlizzCon, but a Skitch was not able to go. So I believe it was Laser Chicken ended up filling in for them. But yeah, it was some really exciting matches that we've seen out of those teams so far, and I'm super excited to see more.
Yep, and I'm just waiting for one of the teams to get ready, so as soon as I can get back to the Twitch page. I figured out how to make the FPS not get totally annihilated, but it means I have to close a ton of things. I can basically only have the game running, so we're gonna take a quick commercial break when I can get to the button. Get to the chopper. We're going to be taking just a quick commercial break here, guys, while we wait for the teams. So appreciate anybody that's willing to turn ad block off or already doesn't have it. Thank you. You're a blessed soul for supporting the channels that you watch. It's a great way to do it. So we're just going to be running a quick commercial break here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be getting the next series rolling. Alright guys, we're back. Both of the teams have let me know that they are ready. So we're going to be queuing you guys up to watch the series between Rocket Gaming playing Moonkin Mage Holy Paladin against Duelist Clan, that I spelt wrong and I'm fixing. Duelist Clan, which is going to be playing God Comp. An interesting wizard battle, a lot of frost bolts and stars going to be thrown at each other. I wonder what it would feel like to actually get hit by a starfire.
Probably hot, because
hot?
there's fire. Yeah. Well, it's like fire from a star. Stars are giant burning balls of gas.
Okay.
So
you would melt.
you'd melt, probably, yeah.
And we do
From
have-
actual fire from a star.
On the side of Duelist Clan, we have Valet on Shadow Priest, bringing it home with the Devouring Plagues. Babo Mage playing on the Frost Mage. Miley, playing on Holy Paladin, is more well known for Resto Druid, but has picked it up as an alternate healer here to try and gain an advantage against some compositions. We have on the side of Rocket Gaming on the green team, going to be Fake You on the Frost Mage, Skitch on the Balance Druid, and Jimmy Powder bringing it home on the Holy Paladin as well. A battle of the wizards, a battle of the paladins. Who's going to come on top? We will find out here shortly. I don't see this matchup happen very often.
Yeah, it's kind of an unusual one, for sure. Especially since Rocket Gaming is already playing kind of an unusual composition. So we'll have to see what ends up happening here. Both teams just sort of hanging out in the middle. We do have a couple of CCs going out, but nothing major just yet. But as I say that, Valet taking a lot of damage, stuck in a Fist of Justice. The Comet Storm comes out, saved by the Light procs as well. And Miley Fan actually going to have to, I believe he uses Avenging Wrath, yes he did, and his Execution Sentence as well to keep Valet alive through that initial burst.
Yeah, the Deep Freeze Polymorph getting a lot of cooldowns out from Fake You, exactly what he wanted to. Deep Freeze coming in 5 seconds for Fake You. He's going to make another play onto Miley B-Fan on the other side of the map here. Babo playing back with him to try and stop that, using Counterspell to interrupt it. Now spamming Defensive Polymorphs. A Skitch in the center here, caught, and he's going to have to use the Bark Skin. A lot of damage coming onto him with the Comet Storm. Jimmy Powder actually having to bubble there with the Avenging Wrath and the save by the Light proc. I feel like he was trying to save him from having to do that. Unfortunately, he's not going to. They do, in the meantime, force the Dispersion and the Bubble on the side of Duelist Clan, and this is a much more fast-paced game than I expected.
Yeah, definitely. Tons of cooldowns flying back and forth, defensive cooldowns going out all over the place. We do still have 4 trinkets available, 2 on each side, so there is still some major cooldowns available, and of course Babo Mage hasn't had to block, and neither has Fake You, because neither of them have really been the kill target. It's been a Skitch and Valet. Valet actually dipping pretty low there again for just a second as the Execution Sentence comes out, and the Save by the Light was proccing as well. A Skitch now maybe in a little bit of trouble here. He's trying to get out of line of sight and use some rejuvenations on himself, and he's going to try to get a Cyclone out. That does go out onto Babo Mage, who's actually going to block offensively to clear that off right away. He actually got a Polymorph out on a Fake You using another one as well. I'm a little bit confused by that offensive block there. It didn't really seem like they were in a position to really make much use of it. So that was a little bit weird, I think.
I think it might be a bit of a they're never going to hit me kind of thing. I don't think Bobo expects him to go for him as Valet doesn't have Disperse for 50 more seconds. He's going to trinket that Hodge there as he's fully dotted, taking a bunch of damage. Miley throwing the Sacrifice out. A Skitch was caught into the Horrify out from Valet, but they couldn't capitalize on it. They're going to have to wait for that to come up to go for another burst attempt onto a Skitch. He's going to have Barskin ready. Valet's falling slowly behind here, throwing the Devouring Plague out onto a Skitch now with the Hodge, trying to take him down, but he's got the Barskin. They're cutting through it like butter. Comet or Ice Snow is going to come in, chunking him even further. He's forced into bear form while charging out of line of sight. Jimmy Powder leaving the CC, popping the Avenging Wrath, giving him a big heal, topping a Skitch off. Valet getting cloned here offensively by a Skitch, but he's going to have Dispersion available in 20 seconds, and they're going to have to force through it once again.
Yeah, he will have Dispersion available, and there will be one Hand of Sacrifice available from Miley Fan. But other than that, there's not a lot of the way of defensive cooldowns remaining on Duelist Clan's side. I guess Miley Fan will probably have his Trinket available in time to help as well if necessary. But the cooldowns have just been flying back and forth so far in this match, and it's looking like Duelist Clan is kind of on the back foot at this point, just trying to do their best to limit the amount of damage that they're taking so they don't have to continue using those defensive cooldowns. Valet wanting to hold on to his Dispersion as long as possible so that he has it for a key moment, but Fake You actually super low there for just a second, got caught in a deep freeze and held onto his block for a super long time, but does actually have to use it. And a Skitch now in trouble as well, being focused down here a little bit. He's going to try and jump over here, go into bear form, get that execution sentence on him. And it looked like he may have thought about going out of line of sight, but he's just going back in here. He's just trying to keep his damage up as much as he possibly can. Fake You, once again, being the target of choice for Duelist Clan. They've actually swapped over onto him, and likewise, Rocket Gaming has swapped over onto Bobo Mage, who's dipping so low. No ice block comes out from him. That was super, super greedy and super risky, but it seems to have paid off as he does still have his ice block available.
Yeah, they're not able to chain the CC just yet onto Miley. He should be able to get in line of sight here shortly, but they clone Bobo up offensively. They're going to look to switch the CC here onto Miley. He's going to Hodge a Skitch to deny the clone. He does get dispelled. Now deep frozen into a full clone. Unfortunately, a little bit of overlap there means that Miley's going to come out. Now Jimmy Powder caught into a full polymorph. They Horrify onto Fake You behind the pillar. Mind Spikes are coming in with the Shadow Fiends, doing a bunch of damage, forcing that big shield to proc and keeping him alive. Jimmy Powder popping the Avenging Wrath to be able to top him off. They're going to be looking to make an offensive push here. Solar Beam available in 8 seconds. Valet realizes that, pulling back to the pillar. He doesn't want to have to use that Dispersion just yet. Dampening going to be starting in 30 seconds. Bobo going for a resummon on that Water Elemental, trying to get ready for the next assault as well. Blinking in, goes for the deep, going for the full poly. Has 5 icicles. Jimmy Powder's going to trinket that, realizing how dire the situation was. Fake You taking a bunch of damage from all of those icicles from Bobo, but Bobo's going to get cloned up. Valet actually landed a mass dispel onto the polymorph. Unfortunately, Skitch is going to follow that up with a full clone, trying to keep the pressure onto what would appear as Bobo Mage, but Duelist Clan is just staying on the pillar, playing very defensive, out of line of sight, saving and waiting for all their cooldowns to rotate back up.
Yeah, and they have a ton of defensive cooldowns available now. Once again, they have not had to use any of those for a while. Even the Aura Mastery, or excuse me, the Devotion Aura, now available for Miley Fan. So tons of potential to survive a push, and it looks like they may actually be pushing in here onto Fake You. Valet coming around there, they actually just kind of, I think he just high-fived Fake You behind the pillar and then ran past him.
He's in
Not
Viz,
sure exactly what that was.
I think he was actually in Viz, it just wasn't showing up, so...
Okay, that was kind of funny. But now trying to once again get this pressure going. Bobo Mage into a full stun there from the bash. And Miley Fan following up on that with a Cyclone. So Bobo Mage, once again, the target of choice here. He does have both ice blocks available once again. Will he have to use one here? It does not look like it's going to be necessary, as that Devotion Aura does come out from Miley Fan to reduce all the magic damage being taken by his team for a temporary amount of time. But Bobo Mage still under fire. Tons of pressure coming out of him, down to 30% health here. He may end up having to block. Miley Fan actually does get knocked out of that polymorph. I believe that was a massive spell from Valet. And they're going to offensively try to put a Cyclone onto Bobo Mage here. Miley Fan and Valet both stuck in that beam. Miley Fan now once again into the Cyclone. Are they going to be able to force that block out of Bobo Mage? They've done so much to try to get this to happen. Deep freeze onto Miley Fan, and still no block out of Bobo Mage. They're just not able to get the pressure onto him that's necessary. Even though they're getting all of this CC out, they have not been able to actually force that ice block.
Yeah, now they're going after a Skitch. He was pushed in very aggressively. He's going to get out with that stampeding roar sprint, get back to Jimmy Powder's line of sight here and get topped off. Bobo getting polymorphed by Fake You as well, just as an extra precaution. The Skitch looks like he wants to move in for a Cyclone, but Miley's able to line of sight here. They're going to have to wait for Deep Freeze. It's going to be available now. Skitch moving in for the full bash. Hodge onto Valet, cross CC out the wazoo with the Frozen Orb coming out. Clone now onto Miley. Valet taking a bunch of damage. It might be his dispersion once again. At the same time, Fake You caught and horrified. The Devouring Plague thrown onto him. He's going to be taking a bunch of damage. Fortunately, he's positioned far enough back to get topped off by Miley here. Valet is going to get cloned. Low HP, denying this Avenging Wrath heal. Now the full Deep Freeze onto Miley, looking for a Poly. Lands the Poly, has to trinket that. Valet getting denounced and Star Surged. Miley able to top him off by trinketing out of that crowd control, bringing him back up to 80%. Now into a Solar Beam. I don't believe he was locked on cast, so he's able to walk out, cast the heals. Now Jimmy Powder in a Deep Freeze, looking for a polymorph onto him, not going to be able to get it. Going for a Frostjaw, he gets locked out on it by Fake You. Interrupting that CC is very important as Jimmy Powder had his own Avenging Wrath up, increasing his healing significantly. He's able to keep his team topped off. If we look at mana with dampening coming in, Jimmy Powder is running out. Bobo getting pressured. Saved by the Light's going to proc. He blinks back defensively with his team here, but he's getting crit big. Gets the block off at 6%. Finally not being greedy and will survive this time around, but Miley's in a full poly, and he really doesn't want to have to bubble overlapped with the ice block.
Yeah, that polymorph follow-up yet again onto Miley Fan, and the full Cyclone as well. He does end up having to use his bubble there, as Valet is dipping super low. No dispersion yet out of him. They may be swapping back over onto Bobo Mage here. Yeah, Valet into a very short Cyclone there. He's going to trinket that right away. It looks like they may try to follow this up. Actually, they're just having to play super defensive now because Fake You down to about 30% health. Both Fake You and Skitch having to get behind the pillar over here and just try to survive as long as possible. Jimmy Powder was stuck in a full fear there, but he does manage to get the execution sentence off, and that's going to heal Fake You back up again as they try to look for their next opportunity to make some sort of burst damage happen.
Yeah. Both mages are fully loaded on icicles. These blue icicles above their head means they've got a lot of damage coming out, and you can see Fake You unloading all of them onto Valet, forcing him into the disperse, and he's going to be able to get cloned up at low HP, denying the healing from Miley. He does get back to Miley, though, and Miley's going to use that Avenging Wrath, his wings here, to top him off, and desperately still trying to top him off. He is line of sighting him a bit here. Ice Dome is coming in. Now they do fully clone Miley. No way out for 8 seconds. Valet on his own right now. They're trying to pressure a Skitch when he's pushing in. They're going to bash Valet. A nice hand of protection, going to remove that stun though off of Valet, getting him offensive once again, and you can see the team of Rocket Gaming starting to get low here at 50%. Jimmy Powder's going to bubble to try and top his team off, using that cooldown to answer the aggression. Once he gets his team off, team's topped off, Miley's Avenger Wrath has faded. Fake You moving for the Frostjaw, lands the Frostjaw out of the Deep Freeze into a Poly. He's going to trinket that. Valet with no disperse is going to Spectral Guys, go into stealth, line of sight, trying to avoid all of the Star Surges coming out from the Moonkin Menace that is a Skitch.
Yeah, he's been keeping up those Cyclones at just constantly rotating on the DR for all three of Duelist Clan. Bobo Mage now actually in a little bit of trouble here. Did dip down there for just a second, but looks like he's going to be okay for just now. A Skitch having to use his Bark Skin, feeling a little bit under pressure there. The execution sentence comes out as well, just to make sure that he can live through this little bit of damage, this small push that Duelist Clan was actually making. But Bobo Mage still under a lot of fire here. He does have an Ice Block available. He's trying to get a Polymorph out, lands it onto Jimmy Powder because they may be trying to make something happen onto a Skitch here, but Bobo Mage dips so low and has to Ice Block. And Miley Fan's still stuck in a polymorph. Bobo Mage only got 3 seconds left on his Ice Block. The silence comes out onto Miley Fan. They may be able to get Bobo Mage here. The root comes out as well, and that's it. Bobo Mage goes down. Very well played by Rocket Gaming, being able to keep Miley Fan stuck into that Solar Beam for so long.
Yeah, it was the Wild Charge Bear Form root. I actually stole that from him. Skitch is the first person I saw do that, and I was like, that looks really cool, because the Bear Form root, it doesn't break on damage, so if, let's say, you're AoEing with Ice Nova or something, and he happens to be standing right on top of the mage that you're hitting, it won't break to that, and he's stuck in the beam, and you can chain it out with a Trent root or an Entangling root, and it just lets you chain it off much easier that way. And it's unexpected. Usually, if you see the Boomkin cast the Entangling Root, or you see Entangling Root on your debuff at all, you're like, okay, he's going to Solar Beam me. But when you see that Bear Root icon, you kind of look at it like, what is that? And then you're like, oh, I'm Solar Beamed, and it kind of doesn't let you react. You don't react the same way because you're not used to it.
Yeah, definitely. So that is going to be this first game going to Rocket Gaming in this series. But that was a super close match the whole way through. Skitch and Babo Mage and Valet and Fake You, all of them had several moments where they could have actually died. So I'm super excited to see what map they end up picking and where we're going for game 2.
Miley's actually going to be hopping onto his Resto Druid. He doesn't want to deal with the solar beams anymore. And he's, as a Restoration Druid, you're able to shapeshift, breaking any root or snare effects. So you're able to just shapeshift, walk out of the silence. And that's going to put a wrench in Skitch's plan there. He's going to have to be using a solar beam either defensively now, to interrupt CC, so he's going to be looking to use Solar Beam to lock out Cyclone, lock out Polymorph. He's not going to be able to get pressure with it as just a blanket silence. So just letting the teams know that's the change that's going on. And I believe that Miley is much more comfortable on Resto Druid as well. Maybe he wanted to experiment, see if Paladin could pull it off. Having that Hodge does give you a bit more kill potential, as it does line up very nicely with Deep Freeze from the Mage, so you can both stun at the same time. But Restoration Druid's going to give him that mobility to leave Solar Beam, keep his team topped off with Hots. And I feel because he's switching to Resto Druid that Skitch's team is going to be much more prone to maybe even hitting him, trying to swap over to him. He doesn't have the Divine Protection bubble immunity effects that the Holy Paladin brought out, and he's going to have to play offensively if he wants to get Cyclones, or he's just going to be playing at the pillar, not really utilizing his entire toolkit. And I think if a Skitch and Fake You kind of realize when Miley's going in for Cyclones and switch to him, that he could be in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I do like the switch to Resto Druid overall. I think it makes sense. But it is going to be a lot more risky, especially with not having that Saved by the Light anymore. Although I don't think it was actually super important for them in that last match. I'm just trying to think back. There were definitely a lot of cases where it activated, but I don't know that in those situations it necessarily would have been a death without it.
If you look at it on the other hand, that the Restoration Druid counterpart is going to have Hots healing him constantly, so he's not going to be dipping that quickly. He's not going to be getting chunked that hard. He's going to be maintaining his HP a little bit more consistently. Just really looking for Rocket Gaming to make swaps onto Miley, the Restoration Druid. If they're hitting one target too much, that's when Restoration Druid healing really starts to shine. He doesn't have to use a lot of mana. He only has to hot one target, maintain those hots on one person, and it's very easy for Restoration Druid to kind of do that. And they don't have the same CC now because they basically can't use Solar Beam as a silence, as Miley will be able to just run out of it. They're going to have to make sure that they're using it to lock out casts.
Yeah. The other side of the coin, though, is that Fake You will be able to spell steal all of the hots that Miley puts out. So it can make it a little bit more difficult to actually kill Fake You in this situation. So maybe they'll be wanting to focus on Skitch a little bit more than they were previously, which it seemed like Skitch was their kill target for most of the last game regardless. But there were a couple of occasions where they were swapping over to Fake You. But then again, I guess if he's spell stealing, he's not casting damaging spells, so maybe that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And Miley already pre-hotting his team, going into stealth now. Babo Mage is going to get pulled out of stealth and put into a Cyclone very early on by a Skitch here. Skitch positioning out, looking like he wants to dot up. Not sure just yet. Dots onto Babo. Seems like they're going to focus him. Defreeze onto Miley. And he did Ironbark Valet, but they're actually going onto Babo. And he's not going to have that cooldown available now. Jimmy and Apolly as well. Skitch is going to use his Bark Skin. He wants to stay offensive. He wants to keep pumping these Star Surges out. Doing a good job so far. Jimmy Powder, though, had to sacrifice his Divine Protection to remove the crowd control and keep a Skitch offensive to get that first Ice Block.
Yeah, that was possibly a bit of a misplay there, tossing the Iron Bark onto Valet, and it may also just have been what Rocket Gaming was aiming for, get that Iron Bark out and then immediately swap over to Babo Mage, so they did get that Ice Block out of him. Now with Skitch in that Horrify, they're trying to turn something around onto him here. They did get a Silence out onto Fake You there temporarily as well, but the Bop comes out onto a Skitch to remove... I'm actually not sure what that was removing. It was because I believe the Horrify had just fallen off by the time that it came out. Oh, there was a bash that went out. Okay, I missed that. Valet now taking a bit of damage as well, trying to get his dots rolling on everybody, but he's going to be put into a Cyclone. That's going to shut that down in a hurry. And a Skitch, once again, seems to be the primary kill target here.
Yeah, and Miley playing very defensive in the back room, doesn't want to get crowd controlled. Duelist Clan on the defense here, taking the room in the back. Fake you playing very offensive in the center of the map. He knows he's not the primary kill target right now, as a Skitch has been the primary. They're going after Valet here. He's going to get hodged in the center of the map, and that's going to be his dispersion, as Miley did get Ring of Frosted. It's unfortunately going to break to the Sunfire Dot. He does manage to re-polymorph him, however. Going to be looking for that last polymorph DR as well. Unfortunately getting shut down by Bobo Mage here, spamming polymorph. Now switching it over onto Jimmy Powder, pressuring a Skitch. He's desperately running away in cat form. He's going to get out of line of sight on the tomb, but Miley pushing in for the kill, going to put a Skitch into a full bash. He has to trinket that. He's fully dotted. Divine Play comes out, but Jimmy Powder gets this Avenging Wrath big heal off onto a Skitch, topping him off now and getting his team on the offense. Valet realizing that, looking like he wants to retreat back to the room, but he's going to get cloned up, preventing him from moving there. Miley could be exposed to some crowd control here. Fake you moves in for the deep freeze, moves in for the ring, and he life grips him out of the ring. Unfortunately, the solar beam going to be dropped down in the center of it. Miley pulling back very defensively here into the cubby. They want to make sure they recover, get their deep freeze, move forward. Now the deep freeze is up. They're going to deep Jimmy Powder going for the polymorph. They land the full polymorph. He has no way out of the crowd control. A Skitch has no bark skin. It's desperation mode for him. He's spamming the Cyclones out defensively onto Bobo. He might choose to ice block this. In fact, he's just going to sit through it. They're going to lose all their pressure almost here, as Jimmy Powder isn't crowd controlled. He throws out the sacrifice, Nature's Vigil, out from a Skitch, giving him a little bit of extra healing as well. Now the Aura Mastery getting dropped by Jimmy Powder, so he doesn't have to deal with any incoming interrupts. He's going to be able to top his team off, and I feel like Bobo might have wanted to block that clone.
Yeah, maybe he could. It would have been his only remaining ice block, so maybe he was worried about some retaliation damage coming in onto him. But in 10 seconds, he will have his cold snap available yet again, so he will be able to use one of those ice blocks defensively should he feel the need to it. Now caught into a bash here, Miley into a Fist of Justice as well, and rooted. I believe he was out of line of sight. Bobo Mage maybe in actually a little bit of trouble here, down to 30% health, but Miley is going to be able to get a heal off onto him eventually. He was in kind of one of that awkward position right on top of the pillar, where if you just happen to be around the side, it takes forever to actually get in line of sight to cast a heal onto him. A Skitch into a bash there. He's going to have to use his Iron Bark, but super low still, 28% health, dipping down there. Jimmy Powder's going to have to use his Avenging Wrath and try to get some healing out here. A Skitch trying to get a Cyclone out, but it looked like that did not actually manage to do much. There's the Cyclone now coming out onto Miley Zor, and they're going to try to make something happen onto Valet, but there was a pretty big heal there, and Miley used his trinket in that just to make sure that Valet was not in much trouble at all.
He life gripped Miley right into Fake U's Comet Storm, and it broke the polymorph off of Miley. So he's going to be leaving the CC now out from Fake U. They were looking to get a good chain there and try and force a cooldown, but Valet just shuts it down with that life grip. Now Miley getting full hots rolling. He's able to take the tomb line of sight in this stag form and avoid all of the incoming crowd control. As Skitch getting pressured using this Nature's Vigil cooldown once again to increase his healing output as he's pushing in for the kill onto Valet, it would appear, as he is Fist of Justice on the center of the tomb here. Miley with a well-positioned mushroom in the center here is healing his entire team while he's being crowd controlled, and he has a decent amount of hots rolling, Amplify Magic used as well to maintain his team going through this crowd control. Horrifying to Jimmy Powder. They're swapping over to him. Silence and Deep Freeze. He doesn't have bubble. He can't wall. He gets a wall at 20%, but it's not going to be enough. It looks like at 2%, and he's going to go down, and a well-coordinated swap there. You could argue it was overlap, but they defroze in Silence to lock him in place. The silence, so he couldn't shield wall, and he couldn't get it off until he was at 10%, really calculated to say, okay, he doesn't have trinket, he doesn't have bubble, what does he have? Let's make him not be able to use it and take him down fast.
Yeah, very, very nice maneuver there from Duelist Clan, and that's going to bring us to 1-1. This is our first not complete shutout series, I think, of this entire tournament so far.
No shutouts here.
No shutout at all. Yeah, I'm actually super impressed that they were able to pull that together like that, because I felt like Duelist Clan was playing on a little bit rocky earlier on. They were making some strange choices, and they were having to use a lot more defensive cooldowns than I think they really wanted to. But they were actually able to make that happen right at the end there. And obviously, it worked out for them because they're still in this tournament. We're out now at 1-1, and whoever wins this match moves on. Whoever loses this match is completely removed from the tournament.
Not a situation you want to be in at all.
Not a situation you want to lose in.
Well, not yeah,
for sure.
Right. At least you have a chance. I guess that's fair
Yeah.
to say. You do still have a chance to make it out. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, they do have to face down 2.5 men that have been looking almost unbeatable in a
Yeah.
sense, as they haven't been defeated yet. So we're gonna have to wait and see which team is gonna end up being worthy. Will it be Rocket Clan here or Duelist? Or sorry, Rocket Clan. I'm now combining their names. Rocket Gaming, the side of a Skitch, Fake You, and Jimmy Powder. It will be the side of Duelist Clan, Valet, Babo Mage, and Miley. Bringing it here on the final map, Tolvaron Arena, much more open map. They're going to try and force Babo Mage and Valet to overextend if they want to go after Jimmy Powder. Jimmy Powder using his Divine Protection, which is his bubble, to keep a Skitch alive, and Babo Mage taking advantage of that, as well as Valet to force in and get the kill. As a result, a Skitch does get locked on a clone here early on. He's not going to be able to Barkskin right away. Going to be waiting for that. Gets the Barkskin off, unfortunately, way too late, and Jimmy Powder's going to pop the bubble and the Avenging Wrath as a result to top him off. He doesn't want to get an instant kill right there and risk losing the tournament, so he's playing extremely safe, but that's going to be an exposure for him. Babo getting pressured is going to pull back defensively, get out of line of sight, spam polymorphs onto Fake You, give Miley some time to top him off, and he should be okay, and he escapes the opener without having to block.
Yep. Very well played there in that opener from Duelist Clan. They did end up using 2 of their trinkets in all of that, trying to make that kill happen. So we'll have to see if that ends up working out for them. Babo Mage actually coming over here to put the deep freeze into the polymorph onto Jimmy Powder. He thought about using his ring, but it looks like he didn't actually end up casting it. It's on a very short cooldown. So I believe he actually canceled the cast or something. He will have that ring available now. Babo Mage, though, gonna get back over here out of line of sight. He knows that his healer's in a polymorph. He wants to get back over here and give his healer some time to top him back off, because they're not really ready just yet to make another move like they did in the opener. They want to be able to rest up for a second, maybe get their trinkets available again, and see if they can't make something happen.
Yep, clones being spammed out from Miley onto Fake You. Horrify onto Skitch, looking for the setup. He's going to Barkskin at 50%. Miley pushes in, puts him into a full bash. Barkskin might not be enough. Saved by the Light's going to proc. Jimmy Powder gets silenced on his trinket. He has to use his Aura Mastery as well. Miley into a Hodge now to deny any more incoming CC, and Skitch able to chain it into a Cyclone. Unfortunately, Valet mass dispelling the Cyclone off. Miley's going to leave the CC, keep his team topped off, and they still haven't had to block. They still haven't had to use their Dispersion or any major cooldowns. Miley still has his trinket available, whereas on the side of Rocket Gaming, Jimmy Powder in the same situation as last, no trinket, no bubble, and if they can look for a good setup swap onto him, they could easily take him down.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, even if they just keep going after a Skitch is going to be in a lot of trouble here. It's actually in human form there temporarily. That was a little bit weird. But a Skitch hiding behind line of sight, he knows he's kind of in trouble right now, as he doesn't even have his Barkskin available. There's really nothing in the way of defensive cooldowns. Now taking some damage here. Jimmy Powder into that full silence. A Skitch has nothing available. He may be able to use his Barkskin. It has just come off of cooldown. But no, he's actually going to hold off on using the Barkskin. He gets put into that Cyclone to deny Jimmy Powder's Avenging Wrath as much as possible. But it looks like Jimmy Powder is going to come out of that CC and a Skitch as well, and they will be able to top themselves back off and try to turn something around onto Valet here, potentially.
Valet actually pre-mass dispelled the Hodge off of Miley, removing the stun immediately. Now he pushes up for a clone 3v1 onto a Skitch. He Barkskins, but he gets bashed. Saved by the Light's going to proc. They're trying to cut through it. Miley switches the clone over to Jimmy Powder to finish the job. A Skitch at 8% is going to get taken down. Miley capitalizing on a moment there to get a lot of crowd control off very quickly and take out Rocket Gaming here 2-1.
Yeah, that's very impressive. The comeback from Duelist Clan, very impressive, because of course they did lose that first game, but they came back quite strong, and that last game they actually looked incredibly impressive. The game on Ruins of Lordaeron was a little bit shaky, and they managed to pull out that win, but that last game, they actually looked really, really good in that last game on Tolvaron. So they are going to move on in the tournament, and they will be facing the winner of Zonica versus D's Nuts, which I believe will be our next series. And then the winner of that will go on to face the Turbocleave, Toxic Youth.
Who do you think is going to make it?
Who I think is going to make it? Honestly, I feel like... I feel like D's Nuts may be able to take out Zonica. Possibly.
You think so?
Maybe.
Maybe? Not
I'm just trying to run through the match in my head right now. You're kind of putting me on the spot here a little bit. I feel like Zonica should be the favorite in that matchup, but I feel like these nuts may have the ability to pull it off.
I think, yeah, this matchup can go either way. One of the teams needs a moment here. The other team doesn't, so we're not going to take a break here. We're just going to wait for the two teams to be ready. Waiting on a response. Just waiting for a response from one of the teams, and then we should be able to jump into it. Going to be a God comp going against a Ret Hunter Shaman. Okay. Alright, so yeah, able to confirm that that is okay. So Zonica is going to be substituting out a Shadow Priest for the remainder of the tournament. His main Shadow Priest not able to make it. So he's going to have to make a sub in. I'm not sure exactly who, but they are playing the same comp, and he's going to be substituting for the rest of the tournament to make it through. So not their main team anymore. How does that affect your decision?
What are they subbing in?
Shadow, same comp, but they're just subbing in a different player.
Oh. Huh. Yeah, that's... Man, I don't even know at this point. Like, it really depends on how well they're going to be able to work with their new Shadow Priest. And that, like, I don't even know how to guess that. Like, it will hurt them a little bit, I think, as they're playing with someone else than they were previously. But, who knows? Really, who knows?
On the flip coin of that, what if they end up doing really good and they're like, man, our main Shadow Priest sucks?
Yeah, exactly.
Could end up happening like that.
Yeah, no, that's I'm trying to think it through, and that's actually a really tough one for me to be able to guess on. So I will opt to say that I think this gives D's Nuts a little bit more of a chance.
I think we saw these teams fight each other before.
Did we? Not in this tournament.
Yep, they did. D's Nuts has already been 2-0'd by this team in the winner bracket. It was a game where we brought it to Blade's Edge, and they were trying to go down below as the same team. So
Are the brackets wrong then?
I think they're
Because
right.
D's Nuts was knocked to the lower bracket by Duelist Clan.
Yes, which is Duelist Clan. Oh, no, I'm looking at a different team. It's the same comp. It's similar comp, sorry.
Yeah.
They did already lose to the same comp, but different team. I'm looking at it and confusing the teams. So they did already lose to one God comp, so this is going to be a completely different one. Maybe on a weaker footing now, as they do have a different player on their team.
Yeah.
But either way...
Yeah, I think definitely I feel like Zonica's team still has the advantage here versus D's Nuts. I'm just going to continue to say D's Nuts because apparently it's making the chat room very happy.
They like D's Nuts?
They do like D's Nuts.
Why is that funny? I don't know why that's funny, but... Twitch chat, what do you think of Zonica? I want to know your personal opinion, not his own opinion of himself. What do you think of Zonica, Twitch chat? I want to know.
And of course, as a follow-up to that, what do you think of D's Nuts?
What do you think of D's Nuts, and what do you think of Zonica? See, Twitch chat, like, Zonica built this persona for himself. Nobody else did it. He did it for himself. I don't know when he did it, or how he convinced the entire Twitch community to just not like him. But he's managed to do it, and he likes it, so it's whatever. But I've adapted, and his team name in-game might not be the same, man. We got to show some love for Zonica, too.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get into this match really, really soon here. I'm eager to see if Zonica can take all of that hate and put it into energy to pull out the win here, or if we're gonna end up seeing D's nuts on top of Zonica.
Yeah, when you're the villain and you end up winning, you can just be like, haha, screw all you guys, I won, haha. And he gets to be like the evil, maniacal guy. Maybe that's what he likes.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna cue these guys up. It's gonna be Zonica going up against D's nuts. Why is that funny? Why is that...
I don't know. I don't know why it's this funny. It's such a stupid joke.
I don't even understand. I feel so out of the loop. Everybody's laughing so much, and I'm just like, huh, these nuts.
You're,
Are
you're
we
so,
ready to
you're
see
so
these
innocent. It's
nuts?
adorable.
These nuts looking a little bit exposed.
Okay, and Zonica is not ready for these nuts, unfortunately.
They're not ready, that's why they left. I get it. I get it. Oh my god. Please.
Oh dear.
Oh my god. They did have a UI problem, which isn't a problem on our side, so we can just wait the game out, we'll time out, and
The gates are going to open and D's nuts are going to be very disappointed.
What? What?
Wow, I've never seen D's nuts finish so fast.
Stop! Stop! What? Someone make it stop!
Okay, I'm done.
Someone make it stop!
Oh my god. Oh dear.
So Sonica's gonna be re-logging because these nuts are way too intimidating.
Oh, I'm crying. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. Deep breaths.
He's back online. These nuts can't stop him. Reset the score because these nuts do not have a lead.
They do not.
That's not that funny, actually.
No, not really.
That killed the mood.
Yeah, good. I need to. I need to breathe.
All right, let's talk about dead puppies.
No.
Why are we laughing? It's supposed to make you not laugh.
It's so mean. It's so terrible.
That's how you think. You think about terrible things, you stop laughing.
But then I'm sad, and I don't want to be
Okay,
sad either.
We'll just be happy about these nuts.
Fine.
Clear my throat for a second of these nuts.
No.
That's way
No.
too far.
Too far.
I was talking about the peanuts. I actually have peanuts in a bag right here. You can hear
I
them.
don't believe you.
You won't, I'll show. I can show the stream my peanuts. I do. I'm not lying. I will just to prove that I do. Okay, I will. All right. I'm not dirty-minded. Like I actually do have peanuts. Give me a second. Can I show you guys? All right. Give me a second. Where is it? Oh, I need to move this to the top, I think. Move to the top. There we go. See? Oh, you can't read it. It's backwards. These are peanuts. Read it backwards. See? These are peanuts. See? Peanuts. In a bag.
I'm waiting for my stream to catch up.
Peanuts in a bag.
Oh, It is backwards.
See? There's one
Yep.
peanut left. There's a bunch at the bottom. Peanuts. These nuts right here. These nuts. All right, there. I proved it. I've claimed my innocence.
This is the best tournament I've ever commentated, and we're not even watching a match at the moment.
It's just peanuts. I hope these guys make it to BlizzCon because these nuts are intense.
I think that if they were to make it to BlizzCon, Blizzard would be like, "You have to change this."
It's not that
It's
bad when they're
not
talking about peanuts. I got peanuts.
Okay. So we have the queue, we have the game. We're gonna have to see how D's nuts match up against Zonica. Hopefully, we can put an end to this madness, and see how this goes.
Yeah, this is going to be the first round of these teams facing off against each other on the Grand Arena in a best of 3. The winner of this is going to be facing off against Duelist Clan. My UI, unfortunately, is having a bit of a misfit. We're going to try and fix the misfit. Okay, we're not able to fix the misfit. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have access to Nick6, so you're going to have to keep me updated on him as we follow him around. Do our best to keep track of what he's doing. It's
Yeah.
going to be the side
You
of
could-
love. Oh. I try to reload, but I think it's fine. I think
You could
it's
also
fine.
just click on him; it'll still
Yeah.
show his nameplate that way, and kind of keep track of what he's doing for the stream. But yeah, gates are now open. Zonica's team, the God Comp, is just going to go ahead and hang out by this pillar over here. Thesia is going invis and trying to move in, but actually he's just gonna kind of hang out around here instead. Not actually moving in. Neither team is really actually ready to move in. Zonica hiding back behind the pillar, not ready for D's nuts. But D's
Please
nuts.
stop!
These nuts are also sitting around over here, just getting themselves ready.
Nick6 getting pulled out by Zonica here. No surprise from D's nuts. The pit going in, building up some rapid fire or focus fire stacks for Nick6 early on. It's going to be good for him as he wants to go for some big burst here, possibly onto Thasia or Zelik. Looking like he wants to make a play here shortly onto Zelik. Blitz MVP going to connect, throws the Hodge onto Zonica, looking to land that trap, or the Wyvern Sting actually going to land full. Blitz MVP popping the Avenging Wrath here, and I believe the Beast of Wrath, but
Yep.
no murder. There's finally the Murder of Crows coming out. It's going to get Hand of Protection off. They do manage to purge the Hand of Protection. Obliv caught in a Frostjaw. Silence on a Blitz MVP. He can't off-heal himself. He actually had to trinket the Silence there in LOS. He'll be able to top himself off, but Obliv is still CC'd. Now caught into a full Hodge, using the shield wall to heal through that Comet Storm damage. He will survive.
Yep. Blitz taking a little bit of damage here for the moment, but nothing too major. Zonica now into a full trap. Could be trying to make something happen over here onto Zelik. He is actually getting down to about 50% health, but Zonica's going to come out of that trap and have the opportunity to cast a couple of heals and get him top back off. Meanwhile, Blitz actually gets the Horrify onto himself. He's going to have to get over here out of line of sight, use that Execution Sentence defensively. And Zonica's team is actually going to turn around onto Nyx. He has to use his first deterrence there. That's just one of his deterrences that has now been used. But he does dip down kind of low there for just a second, around 40% health. He is going to be fine for now.
Yeah, the side of Zonica looks very comfortable. Going for a Wyvern Sting out of that Hodge. I like that he is going for the Wyverns. Zelik's not able to mass dispel those. The trap did get sacrificed. Fortunately, I think it did get Trank Shot or purged off there, and he's going to have to sit through. Murder of Crows comes up onto Zelik with the Barrage. It does get Hand of Protection off. Blitz taking a bunch of damage, so he gets silenced up. He's pulling back defensively. A good Windwalk Totem placed here by Obliv to give Blitz that mobility to get behind the pillar and get his HP topped off. Now on the defense, going to be waiting for that Avenging Wrath, the big wing cooldown to come out of Blitz, and the Murder of Crows. They're going to time those together to try and KO Zelik in 12 seconds here.
Yep, it's going to be a little bit of a ticking time bomb here. Excuse me, Nixik does not have his Bestial Wrath available for another 20 seconds as of this point. The cooldown's just now coming up for Blitz MVP, so they may decide to hang out for just a few more seconds here, and it looks like that may actually be what they're doing. Nixik just sort of poking around, getting a couple of Cobra shots off, but now here comes the timer. 5 seconds remaining on Bestial Wrath and Murder of Crows. Nixik actually into a very temporary fear there, but Bestial Wrath, Murder of Crows are now available. The cooldown's coming out from Blitz. He's going to be stuck into a Fist of Justice. He's trying to do his best to keep up. No cooldowns yet from Nixik. He's actually holding on to them. Because he saw that Blitz got so locked down from that, and now Blitz actually trying to get out of line of sight over here, using that execution sentence defensively yet again, getting out of line of sight and just making sure he can survive. Zonica was actually able to defuse that push from D's Nuts pretty well.
Yeah, and they're on the defense now. Zelik looking to land a triple fear. It did get pre-tremored. Unfortunately, he killed the tremor totem, so the fear is going to sit. They're pressuring Nixix in this deep freeze. He's going to trinket and use what I believe is his last deterrence.
Yep.
He's going to be able to get topped off here shortly as a result of that defensive play. But for the side of Zonica, they still have one more Ice Block, Bubble, Trinket on the entire team, as well as Dispersion. They're looking very good right now. Zonica in a hodge. This is the last offensive push from D's Nuts, trying to take down Zelik, but Zonica gets an execution sentence off, tops off Zelik. Obliv silenced right now. Looked like they threw the Devouring Plague onto him there. He did manage to stone form all of it off. Maybe looking for a potential swap onto Obliv, but he's going to have his Trinket in 1 second. I don't think it's going to work out for them. Deep Freeze into Polymorph. He does Explosive Trap and knock the Polymorph. Unfortunately, he knocked Zelik right into him to land a full fear. Now Thasia chaining that into a Polymorph. Nixik with nothing left, dipping low. Obliv into another Polymorph. He did Spirit Link before going into that, but they're going to kill it before Blitz can get inside. Nixik is still low. Bliv finally leaving the CC here, going to be able to line of sight, get some big healing surges off here shortly, instead going for the Riptides, dropping the healing stream, gets him topped off. Nixix going for the Wyvern Sting out of the Fist of Justice, the Mass Dispel getting denied. Murder of Crows going up onto Zelik. It might be his Dispersion here, finally forcing it with the Barrage at 30%. D's Nuts finally making the plays, getting the cooldowns that they need to.
Yeah. Cooldowns are now coming up for Blitz MVP as well, so they may be able to continue some of this pressure onto Zelik should he choose to use his Avenging Wrath and Holy Avenger. We'll just have to see if that's the choice they end up making. Thesia taking a little bit of damage at the moment, not too much, just sort of getting meleeed over here by Blitz MVP just a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but Nixik now into a full Fist of Justice. He does have a deterrence available again should he choose to use it. In fact, he is going to have to use that pretty much right away. He does not have another deterrence now for 2 minutes, so another push like that onto Nixik will be a lot of trouble for D's Nuts.
Yeah, and he should be able to top off for now. They're looking to make a play onto Zelik. There's no Hand of Protection for 24 seconds. Avenging Wrath is available for Blitz MVP here. They have the damage output. They just need to wait for all this crowd control to fade, wait for the Avenging Wrath to fall. They're making the play, the disengage out. Looks like Blitz wants to go for a Fist of Justice onto Zonica. They land the full Wyvern. They're going hard onto Zelik. They might be able to take him down. Zonica has to bubble. The Murder of Crows is off. They're trying to kill through it with the Avenging Wrath at 20% HP, almost into kill shot range. The Hand of Protection coming up just in the nick of time to save him for now, but the magic damage still coming in hard from Blitz. Zonica pops the Aura Mastery to try and heal through the remaining amount of pressure, and Zonica and Zelik are going to escape that swap, but not just yet. The full trap lands onto Zonica. No Mass Dispel in sight. 30% HP remaining, doing so much damage, and D's Nuts are here to own, taking down Zonica in what was seeming like a one-sided game.
Yeah, it seemed like Zonica felt super. Love Zonica seemed super comfortable for quite some time, but eventually D's Nuts was able to. I can't do this. I can't do this.
Stop saying it.
I'm sorry.
Just say Peanuts.
Sorry.
Well, I could
Blitz,
rename them to
Obliv,
Peanuts. You want me
and-
to rename them to Peanuts?
No, it's fine. But yeah, that final push there, Zonica just sort of up against the wall, and Obliv, Blitz MVP, and Nixix just sort of able to really... I can't look at chat room anymore either. I'm sorry. But yeah, very impressive play there from D's Nuts.
All right. So it's going to be a 1-0 for D's Nuts. Zonica looking to make a map choice here. On the side of the God Comp, I'd imagine actually Runes of Lordaeron is normally like a hunter map, a melee map. At the same time, it leaves you exposed to a lot of crowd control as well. And they are going to go on Runes of Lordaeron. They want to be getting a lot of polymorphs out, landing the fears on cooldown, bringing the pressure to Peanuts. And it's going to be on Runes of Lordaeron, the second map here. D's Nuts 1-0 right now in the lead, looking like they want to take it. We're going to be queuing them up here very shortly. All right. No class changes, no comp switch-ups. Sticking with the standard. Det standard. All right. Let's see if Nyx and Blitz can drag the game out long enough and take that opportunity when Zonica and Zelik are running out of cooldowns, finally finding the moment to strike and snagging a trap without a stun. Nyx doing a good job on the Hunter here, landing those traps consistently, guaranteeing his team that offensive pressure and securing the kill in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I don't think that there's a huge advantage for Zonica's team on this map. It's generally one that you pick in the case of wanting to have things be a little bit more open, but that's obviously something that's super helpful for the Hunter as well. Hunters have been really strong on this map, so we'll have to see how this turns out here. Both teams just kind of hanging out behind this pillar here for the moment. Zelik looking like he may actually want to try and get something going on. And Thesia has actually popped his Icy Veins already, so maybe trying to make something happen here. Obliv in that polymorph. He's going to get follow-up polymorph on that as well. They're just trying to put some damage into Blitz. Maybe see if they can delay the opening, but they haven't gotten offensive cooldowns out of... Oh, Blitz so low! All of a sudden, just so much damage comes out onto him. He's going to have to use his bubble right away and his execution sentence to try and heal himself back up. That was a lot of damage in a hurry right there. Zonica now into a stun. Zelik taking a little bit of damage, but nothing too major as Nyx does get put into that sheep, followed up with a root as well. Blitz now sheeped also. So they're doing actually a great job of making sure that these nuts can actually get their full burst off.
Yeah, Thesia dipping to half HP. Zonika's going to pop the Avenging Wrath, though, prior to keep his team topped. They're looking like they want to make a play with some CC onto Obliv and take Blitz down. He doesn't have his Trinket or his Bubble left. Obliv's going to have to look for that Trinket link when the CC lands. He did pre-trimmer the Fear and dodge it. Good play from Obliv here to avoid the CC. Unfortunately, now into the Deep Freeze. He's going to Trinket that and dispel the full stun, I believe it was, on to Blitz, keeping him offensive, and now he can land his own Hodge onto Zonica, looking to land that Wyvern or Trap here. Unfortunately, Nyx is polymorphed up. He's not able to go for it. Now he's going to have to fake cast the Blessing of Sacrifice here shortly if he wants to go for the crowd control. It doesn't look like he's going for the Wyvern just yet. He is running the Mend Pet Glyph, so he dispels his pet, and when he dispels Vampiric Touch, that's what that short little fear is. But a triple fear landed up by Zelik here. A Hodge onto Blitz, deep onto Obliv. It could be the end for him here into the Horrify. 40% HP remaining. Silence onto Obliv. He has to stone form that and drop the Spirit Link. He didn't have his Trinket available, but nice play out from Obliv, keeping his team's pressure rolling. Zonica bubbled there and Blessing of Protection to answer the Murder of Crows, but the next roll around, Avenging Wrath's going to be available for Blitz in 30. They might not even need it. They land the trap onto Zonica. Zelik taking a lot of damage, 30% HP remaining. They're trying to turn the counter pressure onto Blitz, but Obliv isn't CC'd. They force the disperse, and in 36 seconds, they're going to be looking for a kill.
Yeah, that's a lot of trouble now for Zelik.
Something happened.
And they may be having some sort of disconnect issue or something. Both Zelik and Thesia have completely stopped moving, and Zonica as well. Not entirely sure what's happening. Thesia does use an ice block for reasons indeterminate. But it's looking like D's Nuts is going to take this game. It'd be kind of crappy if it was on the back of a disconnect, but that was well after the 45-second mark. So
yeah. I was being told that by Zonica last game. I told him that if he had any problems to leave 45 seconds before it starts, right? Because he said there was a problem that his teammates couldn't see him. Now I don't know if that's. I don't think that's like us doing anything. It might be an issue with something on their end. I don't know, but I know.
Yeah, it sounds like an add-on problem or something.
Yeah, they were saying they couldn't physically see him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they didn't leave within the time that I told them was allowed. So D's Nuts is going to take it.
Well, that's an unfortunate end to that series, as that was a really, really exciting series. But it's the internet. It's
Guaranteed.
video games. Things can happen.
So it's going to be a 2-0 for D's Nuts. Moving to Grand Arena for the losers round 4. It's going to be Duelist Clan, Miley's team, just off of a close series to secure their spot here to face off against D's Nuts. See, like, make sure they're ready to go. All right, let's ask if they're ready to go. We're almost moving into the grand finals, everybody. We're losers round 4. We've got to play this series out, another best of 3. The semifinals are going to be a best of 5 against Toxic Youth. Whatever team here wins will be facing them, the Turbo Cleave. And after that, they will go into the grand finals against 2.5 Men to face in a best of 7. And if 2.5 Men end up losing in that best of 7, they will have an extra best of 3 series to play it out for the big prize. So whatever team ends up making it, they have to beat 2.5 Men not once, but twice.
Yep. Yep, because of that winner's bracket advantage. And it makes sense. It means that everybody in the tournament has an opportunity to lose once. So if you do make it back to the finals and you beat 2.5 Men there, they've now only lost 1 match in this whole tournament. So it would be kind of weird if there was no...
Yeah.
Like, whoops, you got to the finals, but now you have to win. You've lost your ability to lose 1 match at that point. So that's why that extra match at the end does occur, and that is the winner's bracket advantage. It's sort of like that team then drops to the loser's bracket, basically, is sort of another way to think of it. But I don't know that we're going to see that, honestly. 2.5 Men have just been looking so dominant in every single matchup that they play. And I'm not sure that any of these teams are really going to be able to have a great answer for them. The closest has been Toxic Youth, who they've already beaten in the semifinals. But maybe Duelist Clan can do something a little bit different that 2.5 Men can't deal with. Maybe D's Nuts is somebody that 2.5 Men will have trouble with. So... we'll have to see. I'm super excited to see where this tournament ends up and to see what 2.5 Men can do in the finals. But to get there, we need to see this next match of D's Nuts versus Duelist Clan.
Yep, I'm just trying to update some people with information so they can update the bracket so you guys aren't looking at an outdated bracket. Both the teams are ready, though. Send the information out. We can queue them up. Grand Arena, best of 3. It's going to be Duelist Clan against D's Nuts. And then there's silence as the add-on doesn't work. I'm going to click it one more time. Hit me, baby, one more time. Oh, if you sing for it, it works. All right, guys. The Grand Arena Losers Bracket Round 4. Winner of this is going to be progressing to the semifinals of the Losers Bracket to face off against Toxic Youth. In this match, however, we have on the yellow team D's Nuts, Blitz MVP bringing it up on the Retribution Paladin, Nick 6 bringing it up on the Beast Mastery Hunter, Obliv bringing it in the back here, healing his partners, keeping them alive to win the games here. Obliv on the green team, we have Duelist Clan, Valet on Shadow Priest, Babo Mage on the Frost Mage, and Miley playing the Holy Paladin, and we have seen him playing a bit of his Restoration Druid as well. It is an option for him. However, in this matchup, going to be running on the Holy Paladin, so he can be using the Hand of Protection here at the bottom to remove the major offensive cooldown, which is Murder of Crows on the left-hand side of Nick 6, and trading those cooldowns effectively is going to be important for them to take out D's Nuts.
Yep, gates have now opened. We'll have to see if anyone wants to play the aggressor here. It looks like neither team is really in too much of a hurry to get out there and start beating on their opponents. Babo Mage actually having himself a sit for a second. He's going to rest up
meditating.
a bit. He's meditating.
He's channeling his power.
Yeah, getting ready for the upcoming battle
They're
against.
making a fire. This is the night before the war, the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
They're preparing themselves.
Yeah, sort of taunting
Right, they're ready now,
Nuts a
though.
little bit.
They ate their
they're ready.
marshmallows.
Okay, good.
They ate their Warlords of Draenor hot chocolate.
Nice.
They're riding in on their rooster mount against these nuts, looking like they want to pull Nick 6 out. I'm not sure if they know exactly where he is. He is sitting in stealth with the camouflage. Babo looking like he's taunting his opponents. Finally dropping the Kona Cold Slow behind there as Valet looks like he's making a play to get a fear here. Obliv does Tremor Totem, but Valet killed it off. Lands the full fear onto him. Silence onto Blitz. Looking like they want to take him down very early on, but he is line of sighting very well. Only Valet currently hitting him. Babo has to blink in to get in line of sight. He does get hodged by Miley. He's still line of sighting, healing himself. He did trinket and use his shield wall to allow Obliv to sit this CC chain in the center of the map, and it's going to be fading. Now Miley on the defense. The shatter play here got the cooldowns. They're going to come back, wait for their orbs to build up, get some more icicles for the next attack.
Yeah, Nick 6 taking a little bit of damage, but not too much. They are doing exactly what we said, pulling back. But Valet under a lot of fire right now. The Save by the Light is going to proc. Is he going to have to use his Dispersion here? No, it looks like Miley Fan is going to use Avenging Wrath, and he's not going to get any follow-up CC onto him, so he's going to be able to keep Valet alive for now. But the trap comes out onto Miley Fan. Valet does have to disperse there. I'm actually kind of surprised that we never saw a bop to remove the Murder of Crows.
Yeah, it would have been a much safer turnaround, but they're just pumping so much damage into Blitz. He has to use his bubble, and now Blitz with no bubble and no trinket leaves Duelist Clan at the advantage, and they know that. They're pulling back. They're going to wait for the next attack. Vampiric Touch being applied to get those Shadow Orbs generated. Babo getting full icicles now, ready to launch all 5 of these babies. Miley and a Hodge. Babo trying to eat the trap here. Nick 6, unfortunately, eating a Vampiric Touch Dispel into a Polymorph, isn't able to chain the CC onto Miley, and now a full ring lands onto Obliv. They're pushing in to end the game. The Icicle Assault. Comet Storm's flying down from the sky onto Blitz in this full stun. He could just go down into Shadow Word Death Range and get taken out. He leaves the CC, finally getting the Spirit Link out from Obliv, and is going to survive that setup. Now Duelist Clan on the back foot in full retreat, running away from Nick 6 as well as Blitz here.
Yeah, they're just trying to get back over here out of line of sight. That bop comes out full health onto Valet, just making sure that he's not going to be in too much trouble here, being a little bit more proactive with that bop. There was a trap on the Miley Fan for just a second, but it was not able to have too much happen off it. And now Blitz is actually silenced. He's getting over here out of line of sight. He's got the full Fist of Justice on himself as well. Obliv into a full Polymorph, and Blitz is going to go down, and that's going to be a very quick victory there for Duelist Clan over D's Nuts.
Over D's Nuts.
Stop it.
All right. It's going to be a quick win. I appreciate the defensive effort. Both teams kind of swinging back and forth, and Nick 6 and his partner trying to bring the aggression when they know that the God Comp's on the defense. But it's a matter of knowing when you have the damage and knowing when you don't. And the team Duelist Clan knows exactly that. So they go in, they get all their damage out, and they say, okay, we're out. We're out of ammo. Let's run away, reload, get ready for the next attack, go again, retreat, reload, and you can see that's their playstyle. They're just going to keep doing that constantly, and it's on the side of these nuts to constantly push in and get the aggression rolling and get those cooldowns. Unfortunately, it was a bit of a close call. However, he did trade the dispersion, and if you're going to trade disperse for wings and crows, I think that's reasonable. The blessing and protection would have been a bit of an overlap for Miley's Avenging Wrath, so he wanted to kind of play it out, see if he could heal through it, and if he can't heal through it, then use the dispersion at the end of the day. And at least I feel it was decently communicated. However, it might have looked scary. They didn't end up overlapping, so there was no blessing and protection and dispersion at the same time, which is usually what you would expect if a team is panicking.
Yeah, for sure, and it can also kind of make sense to use it when you have 2 bops available. Also, it can kind of make sense to use other defensive cooldowns earlier, just so that they are then on cooldown and will come up again earlier. That cooldown will start ticking down. But yeah, very well played there by Duelist Clan, able to pull out that win. And unfortunately for D's Nuts, they have been deflated. They've been removed from the tournament.
Why would you say that? All right. These nuts want to go into the sewer. The Dalaran sewers.
What?
I don't know.
Our
You can say
condolences
anything. It
is-
gets kind of funny no matter what you say.
Yeah.
All right, they're ready. It's going to be 1-0 currently for Duelist Clan. If they win this game, they progress forward to fight against Toxic Youth for a shot in the grand finals against 2.5 Men. All right. Who's ready? Are you ready, Twitch? Chat? All of you individuals that don't communicate in mass numbers of Kappa.
Oh.
Now there's going to be nothing but Kappa.
Yeah, it's better than D's nuts.
I think it's better than these D's nuts. Oh. All right. But it's going to be Duelist Clan against D's Nuts, Valet, Baba Mage, Miley, Blitz MVP, Nick Six, and Obliv. Possibly making their final showing if they lose this game here in the tournament. Progressing through fairly well. Unfortunate technical problems for their opponents, which may or may not be true. I can't prove or deny or claim anything, so my opinion is invalid. Either way, making it this far in the tournament, proving pretty successful. Let's see if they can take down Duelist Clan, secure their spot against Toxic Youth as the gates do open here. I'd imagine they're going to be maybe defensive here, as it is their last shot.
Yeah, I think playing defensive is a good move. By the way, just as a side note, I unfortunately do not have information on Malifan for this game, so I will be relying on you to communicate that sort of stuff, but that's fine. You're the one that everybody's watching anyway. Nix actually taking a little bit of a horrify there for just a second. It looks like Duelist Clan now actually wanting to move in here, but Babo Mage under heavy fire as a result of it. He's gonna try and get a polymorph out. He actually lands that onto Obliv, and may be able to make something happen onto Blitz here for just a second. It looks like that is their opener kill target of choice. Of course, as I say that, they swap over onto Nick Six. He's dropping super low and having to use his first dispersion at 6% health. That was a very scary amount of burst coming out from Babo Mage and Valet there. But he does actually manage to survive that, and now Blitz MVP is using his offensive cooldowns. Nyx has used his as well. They're going hard onto Babo, it looks like, but just not able to stay onto him very well. He's actually doing a great job kiting around, using the bottom of the arena to his advantage.
Yeah, no, Bliv, Blitz, and Nick Six have repositioned defensively behind here. They're Avenging Wrath fading. They are on the defense. Valet wants to make a play here, maybe land a triple fear as he's sprinting around. Ring of Frost going to be placed behind the pillar here. Unfortunately, it doesn't land. Would be well positioned there if he can manage to get it. Bliv is down below, to line of sight it, looking to pre-tremor this fear. Unfortunately, Valet not throwing it out just yet, but an explosive trap's going to knock everybody back as they reposition over here on the opposite side of the map. They still don't have their offensive cooldowns. They're not ready to make the push. Valet making the move, though, to land a fear here, and it was not Tremor Totem. Obliv is going to sit that. Pollyanna Blitz, they're setting up onto Nick Six here in the Horrify, down below, out of line of sight. So much incoming damage. He doesn't have his trinket. Blitz is going to bubble there to throw out the sacrifice. I'm a little bit unsure as to why it didn't remove any crowd control, though, and he used both of his sacrifice there. Nick Six is going to survive with using that second deterrence, but Blitz used a lot as well.
Yeah, I believe the sacrifice only removes crowd control if it is a Retribution Paladin that uses it. I think that's ret only that actually causes that. So that would be why that happened. Bob actually having to come out onto Valet here as he was under a little bit of fire. Miley Fan using his Blessing of Protection there. And they are now actually being able to sort of diffuse the situation a little bit, and it looks like Duelist Clan is actually trying to push in again. Babo Mage under some fire. Nothing too scary just yet, though. Full stun comes out onto Nixik. Obliv in the silence. Nixik could be in trouble here. He does not have a deterrence available. This is a lot of damage coming into him. Now a polymorph onto Obliv. Can Nixik survive through this? He's actually doing a great job of surviving so far without a healer, and the Spirit Link comes out, and that's going to... actually, it seemed like it did more damage than good there, dropping both Obliv and Blitz down a little bit. Blitz now using his offensive cooldowns, popping the Avenging Wrath, trying to make something happen onto Valet here. Valet dipping a little bit low, still has his dispersion available, and he may actually even just be able to kite him away here and actually get away. He does not look like he's going to have to use his dispersion at all.
Blitz caught into a full Hodge in the center of the map. Is going to trinket that, get out of line of sight, throw himself a big heal as he's running back to the pillar here. Ice Nova comes in, doing a ton of damage. Is going to force the second Spirit Link and the trinket out from Obliv. Now, for the side of D's Nuts, they're running on empty. They're running on fumes. They have to make something happen quick. They're trying to make it happen onto Babo. They do lock him on Polymorph. Miley positioned down below, spamming the heals. Good coordination for Babo to not line of sight here, as Miley did get knocked down below. They're making the turnaround to finish the job onto Blitz, and D's These nuts are going down 2-0 for Duelist Clan here on Dalaran Arena.
Oh, now I see Miley fans UI. Thanks, thing. But yeah, that was a great match. That was Duelist Clan just playing super well. They have been looking really strong. They had a couple of shaky matches earlier on today, but they've just been looking so super strong throughout this the last several matches that they've been playing. So condolences to D's Nuts, but Duelist Clan will be moving on, and they will be facing off against Toxic Youth.
Yep, and I believe it's a rematch. We've seen these teams fight before. And the winners, am I wrong?
Yep.
No, I'm wrong again.
Oh, wait.
Am I wrong again?
No, yeah. You're
I'm wrong again.
You were wrong again.
There's too
Yeah.
many shatter plays. I'm getting confused. Alright. Duelist Clan going to be facing for the first time against Toxic Youth. Toxic Youth taking down a God Comp earlier on Zonika's team pretty convincingly. Let's see if they can do the same to this team, Duelist Clan. And if they are unsuccessful, they will be out of the tournament.
Indeed.
Just getting them all ready to go.
Apparently, it was a sacrifice from Blitz that you were talking about.
Yeah, I was talking about. Yeah, he sacrificed twice in a row, and I didn't remove the ring. It made me think that he sacrificed the wrong guy twice.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Miley using sacrifice because I couldn't see his interface all the time.
It was Blitz. There was a Ring of Frost landed. I think what he intended to do was sacrifice the Hodge off, but he ended up pressing it too fast and did it twice on the Hunter instead of... Maybe he only meant to do it once and pressed it too fast. That can happen with your stacking abilities. So that's what it looked like on the UI, is that he like double tapped sacrifice, so he didn't have that for his healer Obliv, but it didn't really matter. There was no trinket, no spirit link left, no bubble, no deterrence, no trinket on anybody. It was that one final situation where they've pushed through all the cooldowns, there's nothing left, you just kind of poof.
Yeah. Yep.
Jasmine, Toxic Youth. Guys, before we start this series, as they're not ready, we're going to be running quick commercial break. I know all you guys love commercial breaks. I don't know exactly what commercials they're playing right now. The last time I saw was an Old Spice one. I think they're not going to be doing that anymore. So I'll be setting you guys up for those of you that have ad block. I'm catering a little bit by giving you music. Just trying to think, what should we listen to? Let's click this. It has a pretty picture. Alright, we'll be listening to this, but we are doing an ad break here quickly before we start the semifinals of the losers bracket. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, guys, we're back here to bring the semifinals, which is going to be a best of 5 in the losers bracket. We are going to be seeing Toxic Youth face off against Duelist Clan. Both teams have told me what compositions they're going to be running with. They're going to be running Holy Paladin Turbo into Holy Paladin Shatterplay, a battle of the Paladins once again. Wizard versus Melee. Who will come on top? Lumberjacks or Harry Potter?
What?
I don't know. That's how I visualize it.
Okay. All right. Paul Bunyan versus Harry Potter.
Paul Bunyan.
Yeah. He's the lumberjack.
All right.
Lumberjack dude. He had the big blue ox. It's important.
I assume it would be. All right. I think both the teams are ready. We can start this best of 5 in the semifinals. Hype!
Hype!
All right, let's get going. Let's get going. Let's cue them up. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting. All right. The add-on wants to wait a little bit, though. Oh, no, it doesn't.
There we go. The add-on just wanted to psych you out.
Right. And on the green team over here, Toxic Youth, you got Joy Fernandez on the Arms Warrior, Swapsy playing the Enhancement Shaman, Botar bringing it back home, healing his team up on the Holy Paladin. On the side of Duelist Clan, we've got Villet laying down the shadows, bringing out the damage, Bobo the Mage on the Frost Mage once again, and Miley playing the Holy Paladin. We may see some Restoration Druid here from either team. When they were letting me know that they might be interested in changing compositions, they're going to play it out in this first game, try it out, test the waters, and see if they want to make any changes.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that Botar is not running the Clemency for the double Blessing of Protection. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense versus this team. He is actually running for the lower cooldown on Divine Shield. It's just an interesting thing that I see Botar do a lot. He seems a lot more comfortable, even in situations where the Blessing of Protection would make sense. But Joey Fernandez is not waiting around for anything. He charges right in here, going straight onto Valet. The Fist of Justice comes out on Valet as well. Miley Fan in that Stormbolt just temporarily there. He's going to have to pop the Avenging Wrath and the Execution Sentence to heal Valet back up. Valet should be feeling totally fine for now, but Toxic Youth looking out for blood in the first moments of this match.
Yeah, that was Recklessness and Ascendance from Swapsy and Joy Fernandez. They got a ton of damage up, but not a lot of cooldowns. Joy Fernandez into the Horrify, Poly onto Botar, 3v1 onto him with a full Hodge. He uses the Regeneration heal. Swapsy trying to get some off heals for him shortly, but he has to use the Rallying Cry. He's still dipping low. The Die by the Sword as well. It's looking terrible for Joy Fernandez right now. Saved by the Lights proccing. Rallying Cry is going to fade. Botar finally leaving CC. He fortunately didn't use his Avenging Wrath, but he gets locked on his cast. Joy Fernandez, it could be the end for him very early on. He heroic leaps defensively here. Valet looking like he wants to try and land some CC. He doesn't have it available just yet. Instead, now landing the full fear with a polymorph to deny the tremor. Joy Fernandez could be in trouble here. Swapsy healing him up. Botar finally leaving the CC. Should be able to keep him alive here, but Joy Fernandez is running on fumes.
Yeah, they are trying to turn this around onto Valet now, though, trying to put some counter pressure out just to make Duelist Clan actually have to slow down a little bit. But Duelist Clan looking actually really, really good so far in this match. Bobo Mage now taking a little bit of damage here. He's going to blink out of that. He's actually managed to get himself up onto the side of the arena there, jumping down from that now as well. It was just funny that his blink actually put him up there, it seemed. But now he's still taking a whole lot of damage here. But now Joey Fernandez is actually going to swap over onto Valet once again.
Yeah, Hodge out from Botar with a Stormbolt onto Miley. Those coordinated stuns on two players are what you're looking for on the side of Toxic Youth, and they're getting pressure with it. Valet's going to Spectral Guys. Looks like he wants to try and land a full fear. Maybe swap to Botar. He puts him into the Horrify. Now with the Silence and the Hodge, he's not going to be able to bubble. Wall, and he might have to use his bubble. Getting the wall off with the remaining seconds saved by the Light, triggering there, giving him a big absorb with a very good Hex placed by Swapsy onto Bobo. He's going to have to sit that full. He doesn't want to use his Ice Blocks offensively here. Valet laying down the damage, though. Frozen Orb coming out. Could be the end for Botar. He bubbles at 7%, and slowly but surely, Duelist Clan working their way through the cooldowns.
Yeah, definitely. They know that if they want to beat Toxic Youth, they've seen these guys play yesterday. They know that they want to play super defensive. They want to just sit back and make you come to them. Duelist Clan is just going all for it. They're like, you know what? We're going to come right in there. Now Botar into the polymorph. They're trying to make something happen onto Joey Fernandez yet again. He's stuck in that Horrify for just a second there. He's going to try to get out of there, coming over here onto Babo Mage. The silence onto Botar, but unfortunately that is not going to be enough CC onto Botar to really be able to stop this, and Joey Fernandez is going to be healed up yet again, now trying once again to make something happen onto Valet here.
Yeah, taking down the water elemental from Babo, trying to eliminate any advantage they can. He's going to pull to the center, get another water elemental out. He's going for a defensive hex. They're going for the water ellie once again in the center. If they kill this right away, he's not going to have one for quite some time. Miley realizes that they have to use the storm bolt to stop him from healing. Actually going for the blade storm onto the water elemental, but Saved by the Light got put onto it. It's going to trigger, and they still haven't taken it out. They're committing a lot of resources to this water elemental, and it's going to end up surviving, and they're going to keep that Fingers of Frost on demand. Babo getting pressured using the Amplify magic along with Miley's heals. He should be able to top him off. Saved by the Light proccing in the meantime, however, and they're still hammering this water elemental in the center, and Miley is spending quite a bit of mana to keep it up, but he is keeping it up for the time being. Deep Freeze Poly onto Botar, looking for the setup onto Joey. The full stun now onto him. Swapsy's going to be building up Maelstrom procs to try and get some off heals. He does land a big healing surge. Swapsy getting Frostjawed into a Poly. Silence onto Botar. 3v1 onto Joey. Heroic leaps defensively back to Botar's side, and he should be able to top him off.
Yeah, Duelist Clan actually seeming to not be quite as successful with these follow-up. Maybe Toxic Youth just shaking the cobwebs out a little bit, getting themselves back into the swing of things, as Duelist Clan has been playing all day, and Toxic Youth is not. Valet actually dipping super low there for just a second. He's actually having to sit through this Blade Storm as well, but no Dispersion just yet coming out from him. He's holding onto it as long as he possibly can, and there's no real CC coming up onto Miley Fan, so they should feel fairly comfortable right now. Still trying to kill this Water Elemental, but unfortunately it's just constantly being healed by Miley Fan here. The Stormbolt does come out on the Miley Fan. They may be setting up a CC chain just to kill a Water Elemental, but it does not look like that's going to be the case. Miley Fan pops his Avenging Wrath. Bop goes out onto Valet as well, and that's going to diffuse this push from Toxic Youth.
Yeah, Miley actually used his trinket there, so Toxic Youth getting a bit of an advantage now. Botar has his trinket available, as well as his bubble. Swapsy going for a hex. Stormbolt onto Swapsy, looking for the water elemental. They're out to kill water. It's still alive, though. Poly onto Joey. Silence onto Botar. They're swapping to Botar once again, taking a significant amount of damage. Has to use his shield wall to reduce the incoming remaining amount of damage, but they proc that Saved by the Light absorb, and he's trying to line of sight here desperately. The Frozen Orb comes out. He's trying to fake cast the interrupt here. Valet looking like he wants to go for some more CC and some more damage, but they're taking some counter pressure as they push in deep. Miley in that full Hodge is going to have to play catch up. He does get a big heal off onto Babo. Saved by the Light procs onto Valet, giving Miley a little bit of time to heal. He does get wind sheared on his heal there. Valet dipping low here. Swapsy putting out the pressure. Joey Fernandez finally connecting now. Amplify magic used in the meantime by Babo to increase the healing. Fear onto Swapsy, deep onto Botar, 3v1 onto Joey, but they didn't follow the deep up. They're going to have to get the silence now. Going for the poly, but Botar line of sights the poly back here, avoiding the CC and nullifying that situation completely.
Yeah, after a couple of scary moments early on, Toxic Youth is once again falling back into their standard methods of just constantly looking like they're in a dominating position. Now Duelist Clan actually seeming to be in some trouble here. Valet may actually be forced into his dispersion. He gets stunned. He does have to disperse.
Whoa, he's dying through it!
Health. He's dying through dispersion at the moment. Miley Fan having to pop his bubble. The dispersion has now fallen off. Is Valet going to be able to survive through this 20% health? The Horrify comes out onto him also. Miley Fan's bubble has now worn off. They may be able to follow up some CC, but no, it looks like with that Avenging Wrath and the amount of healing he's already put out, there is not going to be any follow-up CC, and so Valet will survive a little bit longer, but maybe not for long. 40% health. He's having to get over here out of line of sight. He's over here with Miley Fan, doing his best to keep himself topped off, and they're now actually just trying to lock down Joe Fernandez because he's just constantly putting out a ton of damage, and it's just too much to be able to heal through for this extended amount of time.
Yeah, Swapsy taking some damage as he's trying to push in here. We can see whenever a team gets aggressive, they're the ones that take so much counter pressures. They have to line of sight their respective Holy Paladins. Botar in the back line over there, keeping Joey Fernandez at 50%, but now into a deep freeze. Joey's got that regen heal, but he can't use it while he's horrified. Swapsy drops him a big heal. He does get locked on the Hex, though, denying the CC onto Babo, keeping him offensive onto Joey. That Enrage regeneration, paying its weight in gold, keeping him sustained. Botar now into a Frostjaw. Valet looking for a Fear there, I'm not sure if he was able to land it. Now Miley caught into a hodge. Toxic Youth on the offensive, trying to take down Bobo. Heroic Leap comes out. Joey Fernandez hitting everything and whatever he can. Valet fully bled up right now into the Stormbolt with no dispersion. Saved by the Light's gonna proc. Amplify Magic getting used once again by Bobo to top him off. Miley's heals doing a significant amount at the moment. He does sustain his team, but for how much longer?
Yeah, I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to hold on to this. Botar has had to spend more mana than he has in previous matches we've seen. He's down to 70%, which is actually really low for him in the matches that we've seen so far. But Miley Fan doing pretty well in mana himself, 50%. We are now just about to hit 20% dampening, though. So this is going to be accelerating very quickly in the direction of Toxic Youth. Duelist Clan needs to be able to make something happen here very soon, or they're just going to not be able to do anything. And actually, that swap onto Botar is great. It's going to force Botar back behind the pillar, out of line of sight, having to heal himself back up over here. And just any little thing Duelist Clan can do at this point to slow Toxic Youth down even further and make sure that they can't get them the kill is really important, because they're just running on fumes in terms of their health. Babel Mage now at 30% health. He does have both ice blocks available, and he's going to have to go ahead and use one there. Miley Fan popping his Avenging Wrath as well, trying to keep his team healed up, but they're all so low. This just constant damage coming out of Toxic Youth is just too much to deal with. Valet may end up having to use his Dispersion. He does have it available again, but no, they're actually going to swap back over onto Babo Mage temporarily. There's a 1 second Hex that goes out onto Babo Mage. Back onto Valet yet again, stuck in the Stormbolt. Miley Fan does still have his Avenging Wrath up, so he's going to be able to heal through this for now, but it's not going to last too much longer. I will be shocked if they can't get a Disperse out of him here.
Yeah, Botar with the Avenging Wrath, keeping his team completely topped. And on the offensive, Valet in the backline, Bobo taking the damage as the big hits come in from Swapsy with that double Storm Strike. Lightning Bolts flying in, trying to end the game. Bobo Mage blinks away. Heroic Leap right on top of him into a Blade Storm. No escape for Bobo's, forcing the second block. Aura Mastery out from Miley. He can't deal with the interrupt pressure. He also doesn't seem like he can deal with the damage right now. Fear comes out onto 2. Valet getting pressured by Joy Fernandez. Still just crushing everybody. Swapping to Miley now with a Hex onto Bobo. Saved by the Light's gonna proc into a DR Stormbolt, forcing the shield wall out of Miley. He doesn't have Bubble. He doesn't have Trinket. He's got nothing left. The final attempt right here with the CC onto Botar, and they don't land it. The poly gets reflected, and Joy Fernandez shuts it down, going to finish the job now onto Miley. Heroic leaping back over to Bobo, trying to hit whatever he can. Miley throwing out a Hodge there. I believe it got dispelled. Botar Trinkets to dispel that and keep Joy Fernandez going. Keep the aggression rolling. Full Fear onto Botar, Poly onto Swapsy. You can't tremor him out. Joy Fernandez could be in a bit of trouble here. He's running out of cooldowns. He's got Rallying Cry left for a big heal here when he dips low. Die by the Sword getting used instead to sustain himself. Pushing in for another Blade Storm. Blazing Speed out from Bobo to get away from it. Going for the Frostjaw now onto Botar. That's going to land. Joy Fernandez realizing the situation. Gonna Heroic Leap defensive. He doesn't want to throw the game for his team.
Yeah, Duelist Clan definitely up against the ropes here. Toxic Youth, even when they're in a scary situation, they're not dipping low enough for it to be really at a kill. Duelist Clan has managed to get themselves topped up for the most part, but Valet taking a lot of damage right now. Saved by the Light does proc. He's going to be at about 40% health here, as Miley Fan is just spamming out these heals, and he's just running out of mana in a hurry. 12% mana, 10% mana on Miley Fan. They do not have much time left. They need to make something happen very, very soon. They may be looking for it here. Joe Fernandez into the stun, the full stun. The bop comes out from Botar, but it's not enough. Joe Fernandez goes down.
Rest in peace, Joey.
R.I.P. in peace. I think I said bop, I meant bubble. Sorry, chat room. But yeah, wow. They needed to make that happen at that point. That was exactly what Duelist Clan, like, if they did not get that kill right there, they lost the game, basically. They made it happen. So good job by Duelist Clan. That was very, very impressive.
It definitely was when you're on the ropes for so long. They were finally able to make a swap to Joey, and that's got to be their pressure target. And when you're getting that high into dampening, it does start to affect the side of the Turbo Cleave. Swapsy's healing becomes a lot less effective, as well as Botar's, and maybe bubbling just a couple seconds too late, costing Joey's life there at the end at 36% dampening it, almost a 12-minute game. But we do have a map choice out from Toxic Youth here as Duelist Clan takes the lead. We're going to be moving into Dalaran Sewers.
Dalaran Sewers is a map that Toxic Youth has been so comfortable on in the past. It's got those smaller distances. It's easy enough for them to be able to disengage when they need to, but it's also they're able to keep the pressure up, and that's sort of the way that Turbo wants to play right now. Is we see them constantly swapping between people, not necessarily going for kills, just making it hard on the other healer. And that's what led into those situations constantly, especially later in the game as dampening started to set in, where Miley Fan had his entire team at 30% health and really couldn't do much to be able to top them off. So I think this is a very obvious choice for a map coming out of Toxic Youth, and we'll have to see if they can pull out the win here. I feel like Duelist Clan was able to make some magic happen towards the end of that last match, but it really was magic. It was the sort of like last ditch effort that could have worked, or it could have just cost them the game. So Toxic Youth, I don't think is out of this at all.
Yeah, and Botar still had that bubble, as you pointed out, so if he had got that off a little bit quicker, 1 second even, he might have been able to keep Joey alive. So it's not an easy game by any means for Duelist Clan. Gonna have to find a way to do it again, pull out the magic. He is a mage, though, so he does have a lot of it. Casting the frost bolts, building up his icicles here on top of his character to unleash them here shortly. He's going to be blinking in and blazing speeding here shortly. Botar coming out, though, from the box. Babo pops his on-use trinket with his Icy Veins, going for a polymorph, not able to get it onto Swapsy, however. The pressure rolling out from Joey Fernandez' recklessness. The blink comes in, the deep freeze lands, the polymorph connects, 3v1 onto Joey. Once again, all of the icicles being unloaded onto him, and that Fist of Justice stun is going to proc the save by the light. Botar now into a silence, the regen heal used up by Joey. He's running out of cooldowns here. He gets topped off by Botar's execution sentence. Botar escapes that opener reasonably well.
Yeah, that was a good push by Duelist Clan, but it wasn't as good as the ones they had in the previous game. Joey Fernandez didn't have to use his rally or his die by the sword, whereas in the previous game he went through pretty much everything. So Duelist Clan going to probably have to settle for another longer game and trying to get a win in dampening, where the the Turbo Cleave from Toxic Youth is going to be at their best. But now Toxic Youth actually trying to get their spread pressure going. Babo Mage and Valet both fairly low.
He reflected the Horrify and the Polymorph out from Valet and Babo at the same time, and they shut down that offensive push, and now they're turning it around onto Babo. Joey Fernandez is out for blood. He's angry about losing last game, playing so well so far. He's going to get Devouring Plague now. Denounce is coming in. Botar pops the Avenging Round to keep his team offensive. They want to push in here onto Miley. They lock him out on that heal, now going for another Word of Glory. Denounce is flying in from Botar, trying to participate with the damage onto Babo here at 40%. He does blink in with a deep freeze. He's going to land the polymorph here. I believe he's going for the frost jaw now instead. Unfortunately, the waterfall came down, and I think it line of sighted the polymorph, unfortunately, and now he's into the full hex. Miley getting pressured in the Hodge. Botar pushing in to try and finish the job here. Valet dipping low. Aura Master comes out from Miley. He doesn't have any big healing, though. Finally pops the Avenging Rat to get that big increase of healing. He should be able to top his team off. Joey Fernandez preemptively activating the die by the sword here prior to the stun. He's able to tank all of this damage.
Yeah, Toxic Youth with a great counter push there, pushing back against Duelist Clan, saying, you know what, no, you don't get to just win in the early game. Botar into a deep freeze there just for a moment, which gave him a little bit of an opportunity to put some pressure onto Joey Fernandez. In fact, he's now into a fear as well, and Joe Fernandez, both Swapsy actually locked up as well there for just a second. So they're just constantly trying to make something happen out of Joe Fernandez here, and I feel like that's a good choice. He just makes an excellent kill target for them, and keeps him on his toes a lot more. He does not have much in the way of defensive cooldowns available at the. Excuse me, I actually am completely lying right now. He has both Enraged Regen and Rally and Cry available. So I feel like they're going to have to keep up this constant pressure and make another sort of panic move come out of him where he uses a whole bunch of his cooldowns. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to make too much happen here.
Yeah, he's preemptively going in and out of D stance. He knows that he's going to be the target of choice if he overextends. He lands the Stormbolt onto Miley, gaining some more pressure, but now triple CC, 3v1 onto Joey. Botar trinkets the poly, regen gets used out there. He does go into another polymorph, however, but a nice hex onto Babo does deny some more crowd control. He's going to actually trinket that hex, in fact. Joey Fernandez still getting pressured. Silence onto Botar, no Aura Mastery available, and he does not want to have to bubble a silence. He's going to be able to get out of line of sight. Joey Fernandez players on the defense, throwing the Stormbolt onto Bobo. Now Fear onto both DPS, giving Botar time to recover. A Hodge onto Miley in the meantime, trying to get some pressure onto Bobo. The recklessness comes out from Joey, going ham with the Blade Storm onto both players here. Valet is going to position away from Bobo to not take that cleave damage. Swapsy onto Miley. They're trading it up. If Swapsy's not going to be the target, he's going to be the one that plays offensive. Stormbolt onto Miley now. Bobo taking a bit of damage, is pulling back here. He's building up those icicles, though. If he can survive the swap, they can set something up. Joey Fernandez with his trinket, though, should be able to survive it if he's aware of the situation and uses it.
Yeah, and Swapsy has actually oomed himself purging, which could cause him some issues if he does end up needing to off-heal in the very near future. But it does not look like Duelist Clan has really been able to put that pressure together. As I say that, Botar takes a lot of damage, dips down to 20% health. The Saved by the Light does proc, and he's going to be able to get out of line of sight over here. And Miley Fan dips super low as well. He's forced to bubble down to 19% health. So all of a sudden, both Paladins caught a little bit off guard, I think, just taking big bursts of damage there. They are going to be able to recover from that, but that was a lot of defensive cooldowns that came out in that. Unfortunately for Botar, however, he does manage to hold on to his Divine Shield through that burst. So Toxic Youth is just in a great position in terms of defensive cooldowns at this point. They have nearly everything available, whereas Duelist Clan is missing a few key abilities. They do still have Dispersion and both Ice Blocks available. So I feel like we're going to see another long game here. But another big burst like that, the number of defensive cooldowns you have doesn't matter if you die before you have a chance to use them.
Yeah, Valet's dipping low, Baba's dipping a half HP, Mortal Strike comes in, 36%. Miley's positioned to heal them up, Stormbolt onto Valet to try and deny some fears here onto Botar. Joey Fernandez preemptively activating Die by the Sword again to sustain through all of this incoming damage, and he does so reasonably well. Doesn't have to use the regeneration heal at the end of the day. Baba is getting his Water Elemental out once again to load up the next assault. Miley into a Hodge. Did get Mass dispelled from Valet. Good play from him to dispel that stun onto Miley. Now he can position at the pillar. He does get locked out on the flash heal. Babo's taking a significant amount of damage. They might be able to get the first ice block here. He does get locked on Poly. He's going to Blazing Speed away. Go for the deep freeze onto Botar. Fear onto Swapsy. Lands the full Poly. Hodge onto Joey Fernandez. He's got that Enrage regen heal rolling, keeping his HP going. Swapsy looking like he's building up for some healing surges. Going to land them onto Joey. Keep him healthy for now. Now popping the Recklessness. Trying to go offensive onto Miley. He's caught into the Stormbolt in the center. The Ascendant's being popped as well here. Miley's going to pop the Avenging Rat to answer all of this cooldown aggression. Joey Fernandez and Swapsy are forced off of him and back onto Babo.
Yeah, just constant pressure coming out from Toxic Youth right now. Even though Joey Fernandez is sitting at about 40% health, he should be feeling pretty okay about that for now. Botar is in a full polymorph at the moment, so they may be able to pull something out here, but Botar does still have his trinket available. So that's really the best that Duelist Clan can hope for at the moment, is pulling out that trinket. Another big fear, though, that's going to actually get, I believe that was Tremored from Swapsy there. It's going to get broken, and they're just going to be able to keep up this constant pressure. Duelist Clan, though, starting to feel the pressure as we are now at 11% dampening. They're starting to see that register in their health bars, as all three of them are sitting at roughly half health right now. Miley Fan just trying his best to keep... He does get locked out on his Holy, actually, there for just a second, casting a Flash of Light. He's trying his best to keep his team healed up as much as possible, but there's only so much he can do as dampening is continuing to stack.
Gen used once again by Joey here as he's caught into the full stun. Botar leaving the polymorph, unfortunately, into a Frost Jaw. Valet does get Stormbolted. They're trying to deny the Psychic Scream fear out from him. He's not going to be able to get there and connect it. Botar pops the Avenging Rat to keep his team top, keep them aggressive onto Valet. He has the Dispersion available. He's at half HP. Miley does get locked out there preemptively. Now into the full Hodge by Botar, making the play here to try and get a cooldown out of these DPS, Babo and Valet. Babo at 39%. He does get Life Grip to safety, but Joey Fernandez is just going to heroic leap on top of him, keeping the aggression rolling. Miley has to pop the Avenging Rat to counteract this damage output right now, and he's having a hard time. The Aura Mastery has to get used as well. He's going to be able to counteract all of these potential interrupts for him and sustain his team. Joey Fernandez with a Blade Storm, though, connecting onto almost all three players. Valet dipping low. He gets the bot. Unfortunately, overlapped with the Disperse.
Yeah, lots of cooldown usage coming out there. The Avenging Wrath coming out from Miley Fan as well. So they're actually in a lot of trouble now at this point in terms of being able to survive through further bursts. They did manage to use that Avenging Wrath to get Duelist Clan, the entire team, topped off, but they need to make something happen soon. It looks like they're going to try to make it happen onto Joe Fernandez yet again. They've been just pushing onto him constantly, constant pressure out onto Joe Fernandez. They need to get a CC chain. They need to be looking for something to happen onto Botar soon, though, because they still need to pull out his trinket and his bubble if they want to be able to make that happen. Duelist Clan, though, all sitting at about 50% health. They do not have much time left. We're at 22% dampening. Miley Fan just chugging through his mana like crazy, sitting at 27%. Botar still at 91%. He is feeling totally fine in terms of mana. It's just not going to be much longer before Miley Fan can't actually heal his team at all. Babo Mage trying to get a Polymorph out just to slow down the damage a little bit, has not been able to do it and actually gets hexed himself, which is going to get dispelled right away from Miley Fan, I believe. So that's going to be fine for now, but they're actually trying to make something happen on Swapsy here. Botar into a Polymorph, Swapsy into that stun. He's going to use the Shamanistic Rage at 50% health. Botar now feared as well, still holding on to his Trinket and his Bubble. Has not had to use any of those just yet, so Swapsy should be feeling pretty fine in the midst of all of this damage, considering the Duelist Clan is all at about 50% health. The stun comes out onto Miley Fan. They're trying to make something happen onto Valet, trying to push some damage onto him, but Babo Mage actually going to have to block in the midst of that. He just canceled that block right away, though. They want to put out some pressure here. He gets the Polymorph onto Swapsy, limiting that damage as much as they can. Joe Fernandez is going to use his Die by the Sword to limit that himself, though, and Babo Mage could now be in a lot of trouble because he still has a good several seconds remaining on Hypothermia. He will not be able to use his second block if they can make something happen in the very near future. The Hex comes out. That's going to get trinketed right away, and now there are no trinkets remaining for Duelist Clan. They are up against the wall right now. They need to make something happen very, very soon. Joe Fernandez dips super low there for just a second. The full sheep onto Botar. That's going to fall off now. They come up with the half sheep after that. Into the fear as well. That's going to get tremored. Still no cooldowns out of Botar. They are not able to push through and get him to actually use his bubble or his trinket.
Yeah, Toxic Youth is sitting comfortably right now, and Duelist Clan is in trouble. Babo Mage is retreating here. He's going to be forced into the ice block. He has none remaining. Valet into execute range in that Disperse, so trying to kill him through it. Miley has to bubble as well, but how do you heal with 33% dampening? The Disperse fades. Miley somehow keeping his team alive. Stormbolt onto Babo. He does get life gripped up to temporary safety. Hex onto Miley. He's got to dispel that. He's not dispelling the Hex just yet. Finally getting the Hex here. Dampening at 34%. Babo's in trouble with no blocks. He's throwing out the Frozen Orb in desperation, trying to make anything happen on a Joey here in a last-ditch effort. Poly onto Botar, Joey into the full Hodge, dipping low here. He's got the regeneration heal up to heal through the damage, and Botar still has his bubble, still has his trinket. He just has to make sure that he gets them off.
Yeah, definitely. We could end up seeing a situation. If they can pull out some crazy burst, they may still be able to kill him before Botar has a chance to react. But Joe Fernandez, now with that Blade Storm, onto Valet. Valet has no cooldowns available. Miley Fan has nothing for him either. He needs to be able to survive through this. The Avenging Wrath is not going to be enough to save Valet there, and Valet will go down. And that's going to tie this up 1-1 in this best of 5 of Toxic Youth versus Duelist Clan.
GG, tied up here 1-1. Joey Fernandez playing much better this time defensively, and Botar had so many cooldowns left, and he ended up not having to use them. The map choice paying off a bit better for them that time around. They were able to just keep the pressure rolling. It wasn't as big of a gap between the pillars. Botar can close, take Miley's pillar, and just line of sight on it himself. So we're going to be tying it up 1-1. It does become the map choice of Duelist Clan now.
Yeah, and I think Duelist Clan having the map choice here, because they were able to win that map on Nagrand Arena, they were able to win that first match. They can afford to lose maps where Toxic Youth has the pick because they'll still come out ahead in the best of 5. As long as they can win on their own map picks, they will be totally fine and they will still be able to advance through here. So I'm really curious to see what Duelist Clan is going to end up picking. My guess would probably be something like Tolvaron, something like Ruins of Lordaeron, something that's going to be nice and open for them and give them more opportunity to keep up constant pressure. And in fact, it is going to be Tolvaron, and we will be moving into this next match here very, very shortly.
Currently tied up 1-1 between Duelist Clan and Toxic Youth. The Turbo Cleave still not making any roster changes, sticking with their Holy Paladins. No Restoration Druids getting brought out just yet. It is a best of 5, so there's still potentially 2 more games to be played out. Potentially 3? No. Yes, could be 3 total. So
yeah, up to 3 total.
Still a lot of games left for today, and we aren't even into the grand finals yet. The winner of this is going to have to be facing off against 2.5 men. You can tell both sides want it. Duelist Clan gonna have to find a way to pull off miracles as they did in the first game to take down Joey Fernandez in the face of almost 40% dampening, which reduces healing by 40%. So every heal you cast is that much weaker the longer the game goes on. The same could be said for Swapsy's off healing as well, which is why they're able to finally push down Joey Fernandez. But we're going to have to see on Tolvaron how defensive Joey can really play.
Yes, indeed. It's just such a long distance. It's actually too far for him to be able to heroic leap behind a pillar if he overextends. And he loves to be able to stick on people for as long as he possibly can, knowing that he'll be able to jump back out if he does get into trouble. But actually, it's going to be Valet that moves in, pulls out the charge from Joe Fernandez there, and is actually going to try and get them to chase him over here. It seems like that's kind of the plan: is make them tunnel all the way over here and get caught out. Joe Fernandez actually maybe wanting to pull back there for just a second, but no, he's actually going to move back in and try to keep that damage going. Babo the Mage is actually stuck into a hex here for now. He's just going to be a happy little frog hopping around over here in the corner for a little while as they're trying to actually kill the water elemental and see if they can't get that down. But Miley Fan once again is just pumping heals into that water elemental. He wants to keep that alive as long as possible. Joe Fernandez is actually going to use his Die by the Sword sort of offensively there. He actually got stuck into a stun, so it ended up being kind of a defensive move, but I believe his plan was to use it offensively to be able to avoid incoming CC and stick as long as possible. But he is going to be dipping down to around 50% health, not nearly the opener that Duelist Clan had in the last couple of matches, not even the previous one where they barely got any cooldowns out. But he has actually used his both his Die by the Sword and his Rage regen at this point. So they did actually end up pulling several cooldowns out.
Yeah, Botar's the one that's going to have to react on the next push. Joey used basically everything except Rallying Cry, which he can't use while he's stunned or horrified. Valet in the back here, waiting to allow Babo to get CC, but he's getting pressured so hard. Valet might have to be the one that pushes in first to try and land that fear.
Do we have the game screen live at the moment? I see the chat room complaining about it.
Sorry. They're enraged right now. They're enraged. 2 minutes of wait screen. It's okay.
It's okay, nothing happened.
Nobody died. Nothing happened. We're actually just starting. Babo at 50% HP. Miley getting locked out on that heal here, trying to position back. Valet at 52%. Babo into the full hex now. He's going to have to sit that. He does not have a dispel on his team. He does have full icicles loading up here for the next attack onto Joey, but Joey leaps in for the fear. Hodge onto Valet, connecting onto him. S2. They are going to get rooted up, though, by Babo. Stormbolt onto Miley to deny some incoming healing. Not too much just yet. The sacrifice came up preemptively. Poly onto Swapsy, deep onto Botar, Horrify onto Joey, triple CC, Fear chained out onto Swapsy, 3v1 still onto Joey. He's using the regen heal. Mind Spikes coming in. Denounces are flying at him right now. That's Saved by the Light, Absorb, and the off heals of Swapsy are going to keep him alive through that swap, but a sick setup out from Duelist Clan.
Yeah, they're doing actually a great job on this map, chewing through defensive cooldowns as much as they possibly can, and just trying to keep up the pressure. Babo Mage now under a little bit of pressure here. He's looking like he'll probably be fine for now. It's not too much. It's just that constant spread pressure that Toxic Youth loves to put out. Miley Fan dipping a little bit low there as well. Swapsy actually having to use his Shaman Mystic Rage here, feeling a little bit under fire from that damage coming out, but he's going to be totally fine as well. Another team is really looking to score a kill in the next few seconds here, just sort of looking for opportunities to get cooldowns out, just get a little bit of a setup here and there. Now the Polymorph is actually going to try to come out on the Botar, and he does actually manage to land that. Babo Mage getting a little bit low himself. Miley Fan actually using his Avenging Wrath to make sure that he can keep everybody alive. But Swapsy's been sitting at around 30 to 40% health for a little while now. He's trying to get a Hex out and does land that onto Babo Mage, which is going to slow that damage down tremendously as they're now trying to turn something around onto Valet here. He's down to 40% health. He was in a Fist of Justice for a second, but he used his Trinket to get out of that immediately because he knew of the amount of damage that would have come up immediately after that. So good presence of mind there from Valet, knowing when is a good time to use his Trinket, when is a good time to hold on to it. Botar sitting into a Polymorph right now. A stun goes out onto Joe Fernandez. They're trying to make something happen onto him right now, just trying their best to pull out any cooldowns they possibly can. Botar actually in a silence. He's going to go ahead and use his Aura Mastery, his Devotion Aura, to cancel that and try to get some more healing out right now. But they did actually manage to pull that out. It's a 3-minute cooldown, so that is definitely a good move there from Duelist Clan.
Yep, finally getting a cooldown on Botar. Botar looks like he's taking a move. He's positioned offensively here on the pillar, moving in onto Miley, looking for a potential Fist of Justice here, as he might come into line of sight, but he's going to risk getting deep frozen. This is a risky move by Botar. He lands the Hodge onto Valet with a stun combo onto Miley. He's into execute range, disperses at 18%, and Botar's offensive push paying off, but now comes the payback. Deep freeze lands, full polymorph connects, fear onto Swapsy, 3v1 onto Joey Fernandez. The setup is here, and the damage is getting pumped. He does get topped off. Botar using his trinket, realizing that Joey did not have a lot of cooldowns prepared for that, and now they can go on the offense, leaping onto Valet, forcing him to retreat. Miley trying to keep him topped off and connect back with his team. He's lapsing behind them. They're all off of the pillar currently. Joey going for the Blade Storm here onto Babo, who has loaded up on Icicles. If they can recover, they've got the damage output for the next attack.
Yeah, Valet does not have his Dispersion available, so if they can make something turn around on him soon, that could be really, really dangerous. But Babo Mage actually trying to get his Water Elemental back out. He does get his Elemental back out, so that's good news for him, but they're immediately going to turn over and start beating on it right away. The Water Elemental is just getting annihilated at the moment. Miley Fan may not actually be able to keep it alive, and that's going to be a long time before that Water Elemental is available again. So Babo Mage's burst damage is going to be very, very significantly lessened for the meantime. But Joe Fernandez into that stun, Botar into a full polymorph as well. Botar has used his trinket, so he only has his bubble available to be able to break out of those if he feels it necessary. Does not have his devotion aura either, but Joe Fernandez is actually managing to survive through this pretty well. Swapsy's been putting out a decent amount of off healing, and they're actually going to turn it around onto Babo Mage. The Save by the Light is going to proc onto him, and he's going to have to get over here out of line of sight for just a moment, trying to find a way to get behind something so that Miley Fan can heal him up. But Miley Fan is out in the middle of nowhere. He's actually having a lot of trouble staying into a position where he can actually play defensively.
Yeah, it's because they're trying to bring the fight to Botar, who is in a full polymorph right now. Valet pushing out for the fear, but there was no cover on Swapsy. He gets the Tremor Totem off. Botar leaves the CC, has his bubble and his trinket coming up in 16 seconds. Looks like he's making an offensive push once again, and he does get the DR stun onto Miley, but he gets life grip to safety. They're not going to be able to swap to Miley. Great life grips out from Valet here. The entire tournament saving his partner once again. Babo going for some Pars. Unfortunately, gets locked out now into a double fear out from Joey, trying to make the setup. He is in battle right now, and it looks like they're setting up to kill him. He might be careful here. He does Blade Storm prior to getting stun locked, and he's getting all of this recklessness damage all over the entire team. Babo's got to be careful. Blocks at 12% HP, and Botar and Swapsy were able to sit that full fear because of the pressure that Joey's putting out.
Yeah, and that is another dead Water Elemental in the middle of all that as well. Miley Fan actually having to bubble to be able to heal people back up here. The pressure is starting to mount once again very heavily against Duelist Clan here, Toxic Youth. As they get deeper and deeper into dampening, they can get much more aggressive, and they know that their spread pressure, that their constant damage that they're putting out is just going to be so tough for Duelist Clan to actually be able to deal with. 15-16% dampening now as we're getting deeper and deeper into this game. Polymorph does come out, very short one on a Swapsy there, and a deep freeze on a Botar as well. Fear on a Swapsy. They might be trying to make something happen on a Joe Fernandez, but with all that CC, barely any actual damage went out. And now Joe Fernandez is going to use his Die by the Sword. Botar's going to be able to get some healing out. Nothing really happening from that side at the moment. Miley Fan, though, stuck in a stun. He may be going down right here.
He trinketed nothing. He tried to trinket the Stormbolt, but he trinketed too late, and he trinketed nothing and got stunned half.
Wow. Very unfortunate game there. Very unfortunate ending for Duelist Clan, especially as that was their map pick going into that. So we're going to move on. Yet again, that's going to be 2-1 for Toxic Youth. One more win, and Toxic Youth will go on to have a rematch against 2.5 Men in the finals. It's going to be 2 games that Duelist Clan has to win if they want to move on, and one of those would be Toxic Youth's map pick. They need to win this next match, which will be Duelist Clan's map pick, and then they're going to need to win another one against Toxic Youth on their own turf.
All right, they are going to make a composition change as well. I'm going to let the opposing team know. They are going to be bringing in Miley Druid. His Holy Paladin is his alt, so maybe not feeling completely comfortable on it. Gonna bring it back home where he's centered and play that Restoration Druid as opposed to the Holy Paladin. That is the side of Duelist Clan. And we are going to Tiger's Peak. just as an update here. And it could be the final map. Toxic Youth claiming 2 victories now, making a comeback from that first defeat. Almost miraculous kill from Duelist Clan in the first game. Can they pull it off 2 times in a row now?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very uphill battle. And in these last couple of games, I almost feel like maybe the first match that Duelist Clan won, was almost a little bit of Toxic Youth having to, like I said, shake off the cobwebs a little bit because they hadn't yet played a game today, and Duelist Clan has been playing all day. Obviously, they've probably been practicing and maybe doing some ladder matches or something, but once you get back into the tournament environment, it is a little bit different. So maybe that's all that was. Who knows? Really hard to tell, but Duelist Clan did manage to pull out that first kill and just have not been able to repeat that victory.
Yeah, they come close and at opportunities, but like in the first game, we even said like Botar just bubbled a little bit too late. If he had managed that cooldown a bit faster, they might have survived and dragged it out the same way that they have in the past 2 victories. So as long as Botar, Swapsy, and Joy Fernandez coordinate the utility of their cooldowns, number 1. Number 2 is, can Swapsy off heal? That's the main situation you're looking for. The setups that I'm calling out as sick is because they've feared Swapsy, sheeped Botar, and stunned Joey, and in that situation, Joey is the only one that can save himself, and if he doesn't have a cooldown, he can't. And that's when his team has to communicate and say, I'm trinketing, I'm bubbling, I'm using this, and if you overlap, in a panic because you wait too long, then you get situations like we had, I think, in the second game where Bop and Dispersion were overlapped on the side of Duelist Clan. So it's really keeping the communication solid, not panicking, not getting overexcited, constantly kill the water elemental, take your slow advantages, and progress it safely.
Yep. And that's just how that comp plays. You want to play super safe. You want to slowly and eventually win over time. It's almost like an LSD from season 15 in the way that you want to play. Sorry?
Melee LSD.
Yeah, like a melee LSD. It's actually really funny that it actually even works out that way. But it is. It's a melee cleave sustain comp that wants to win in dampening. If you want to win a tournament and that's the comp that you're playing, this is exactly what they need to be doing.
Yeah, just having a problem. I'm just going to ask the teams to relog because they did have a... Okay, let's try this again. Alright, there we go. Looks like it worked. And I won't forget to change the screen. Someone was talking to me and I muted my mic and I didn't look and I was like, oh. And I looked over when you said it. I was like, yeah, that orc, he made a lot of plays.
Rank 1 orc. Looks like someone from Duelist Clan has actually dropped immediately.
Yeah, maybe testing the UI when they switch the character over. It's important to note Joey actually going on the gnome. He's a little gnomey now. So having seen that they're going to go for Restoration Druid, he goes on Gnome. The reason being is when the Restoration Druid bark skins or uses Iron Bark, when you attack that target you get rooted. And not only are you going to deal with the mage roots, you're going to have to deal with those entangling roots, and being a gnome allows you to remove one of those every minute. So a decent switch here from Joey. I like his gnome's transmog. It's all purpley and blue, and he's little.
It is a good one. So the doors will open in a second and then immediately close again.
Yep.
Because we're going to have to get this match going again.
But Toxic Youth looking dominant, taking the lead, making the comeback 2-1 right now. Alright.
So hopefully Duelist Clan can sort out whatever it was that they needed to sort out to go into this match. And we can get this going relatively shortly here.
Relatively soon. Alright, so we're still 2-1. Tiger's Peak, possibly the last map of the losers bracket semifinals, jumping into the grand finals where the winner of this series has to beat 2.5 men in a best of 7 and then consecutively beat them in a best of 3 as 2.5 men have the winner's bracket advantage. And we've seen Toxic Youth already try and go up against them and kind of got demoralized, Botar even leaving the game when he had cooldowns left, just getting CC'd so much that he was just enraged and left. So
Yeah.
if they make it there, they're going to have to keep their cool, keep it calm if they want to pull off a victory.
Yeah, interesting change here. Babo is actually swapped to a different character. Either that or he did the fastest name change ever. Previously he was on Babo Mage, and now he's on Babo Yi, which maybe is like a Valet sort of thing. So I'm not sure. They're both human characters, so I'm not actually sure what changed with that. Maybe it's just a different gear set or something. But Duelist Clan is actually going to drop the game again. Maybe he just realized he was playing the wrong character or something. But yeah, hopefully we can get whatever's going on here, we can get it sorted out and get back into these games.
Okay, apparently they're just missing an add-on, which confuses me because they were playing the past games. Alright, let's see what ends up coming out of this. It's going to be played on Tiger's Peak. Once again, possibly the last game of this series. When the teams accept the queue, we'll be able to jump in.